Chapter 1001-Madara, who is driven crazy by the cold. This is a conspiracy. Kangwang took the initiative to reveal his whereabouts. He has what Uchiha Madara needs, the secret of immortality, so he can attract Madara. However, Black Zetsu still couldn't understand, how did Uchiha Madara accept the trick? Absolutely not to go. To deal with the cold light, Uchiha Madara does not need to take action personally, it may be successful. Do you really want to go? With your current physical condition, you are not Han Guang's opponent. If you let him see you, you will know the consequences. Black Zetsu advised, you can leave it to me, I can borrow Konoha's force, and Sunagaker, Iwagakure, Kurigakure. The cold light is too worried, he can't run. He's a lunatic, don't you know? Madara glanced at Black Zetsu. He could give up his life for Tsunade, and it took another 10 years to come back, and even if you could kill him, you wouldn't be able to. He has the meaning of life and death in him. Quote. There's always a chance. Black Zetsu blinked. He didn't deny what Uchiha Madara said, that he was a lunatic. I'm running out of time, I can't bet on chance, I can't wait. Only lunatics are the best at dealing with lunatics, isn't it? Uchiha Madara smiled at Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu's expression froze, then lost his voice. What do you mean? Before Obito left, I had taught him the techniques of yin and yang escape and 6 paths to Obito. Although he can't use it yet, if I have an accident, you will continue to implement Obito's plan, and Musashi will cooperate with you. Uchiha Madara said with a smile. Black Zetsu's face became more and more horrified and ugly. He has understood that Uchiha Madara is crazy. He decided to go to Konoha, not because he had a sudden headache, but because he had already planned to fight to the death, and even arranged the funeral. He was driven crazy by the cold light. According to Madara's original plan, he needs to be resurrected in order to continue the Moon Eye plan. But the cold light of resurrection gave him hope, which allowed him to see the possibility of immortality. Although it was only a possibility, it was already tormenting him all the time. In comparison, it was obvious that he was alive, rather than expecting to be resurrected in the future. It is more reliable, the possibility of accident of the latter is too great. However, Uchiha Madara is really running out of time. He wants to get the profound meaning of life and death as much as possible in a limited time, but the other party is too strong, and as the other party's resurrection time is longer, the arrangement is more appropriate, and it becomes more and more impeccable, then. Desperately, maybe it is also a kind of choose. Damn it, it was planned by the heir of the will. But now there is a better option. Not crazy. Anyway, even if it fails desperately, the plan will not be interrupted. Black Zetsu thought a lot, and finally felt relieved. Crazy, it couldn't be worse anyway. Regarding Uchiha Obito's plan, I think it can be advanced. Black Zetsu said, you are still too impatient, he can't control those powers. Once someone finds out that he is abnormal, or he is redirected by other people, for us, both could be a disaster. Quote. No need to advance. Madara shook her head. Musashi will be optimistic about him. If something goes wrong, Musashi will kill him immediately. If this happens, the child from the land of rain can replace him. Uchiha Madara's state is very wrong. The excitement is a little weird, and it seems that he doesn't care about something. Black Zetsu understood why he was like this. Because Uchiha Madara feels that he may live forever, and once he succeeds, he will no longer need an inheritor of will. Deep in Konoha village, in a mansion that was heavily guarded, the back house. Kaharu Udatane walked up and down the door with his chin on his head, looking up at the closed door from time to time, looking apprehensive. Orochimaru leaned against the Jinchuriki column next to him, hugged his shoulders, and was speechless. Call. Whirlwind blew up and Homura Mitokado appeared beside Kaharu Udatane, who had already informed him, but he was only now making time to rush over. How? Homura Mitokado asked, subconsciously glancing at Orochimaru who was standing beside him. Not yet. Kaharu Udatane shook his head. Healing Namikaze Minato's injury is too important enough for Kaharu Udatane to wait here, regardless of everything else, because only when Namikaze Minato is healed can Konoha village successfully elect the next Hokage. Inside the house. The faceless man stood in the corner. On the inside of the lobby, the long tree collapsed. Namikaze Minato tilted his head to look at Tsunade, who was standing on the side. The violently shaking air swirled around him, and the center of the swirling gathered on his injured hand. Tsunade's left hand was pressed against the back of his right hand, and the palm of his right hand was shining with brilliance, which looked very strange, because it was not only light, but also a flow of water. Or a feeling of jelly. The treatment has lasted nearly 2 hours. No matter how much Tsunade chakra is, it is also excessive consumption, and the temples are full of sweat. More than 10 minutes later, the light in Tsunade's hand finally faded away, and the swirling airflow disappeared. Namikaze Minato immediately tried to move his hand. The hand seemed to be intact, but when Namikaze Minato made a fist, it was a little slow, stiff and inflexible, and when he tried to move the chakra to the hand meridian, he could feel it a stinging pain. Tsunade let out a long sigh, then said indifferently, "There are still cracks in the bones, and the muscles are regrown. Because the meridians are rebuilt, they cannot withstand the high-intensity chakra operation. Your hand needs re-exercise, if the injury is generally fine, but you still need to rest for at least a month before your hand can fully recover." Quote. Namikaze Minato made 2 more moves, then put it down, looked at Tsunade and said, "Thank you, Tsunade-sama." He already knew part of the truth, which Kaharu Udatane told him these days, about the conflict and hatred between Hangwang and Sarutobi Hiruzen. "I heard that you and Hangwang agreed to fight in 2 years, right?" Tsunade didn't give Namikaze Minato a good look. Namikaze Minato nodded. Tsunade grabbed Namikaze Minato's collar abruptly, pulled it hard, and stared, "You better give up, or you'll die. Understand?" Chapter 1002-public. By Tsunade's collar, Namikaze Minato's body was a little stiff, and Namikaze Minato couldn't take it calmly when facing Tsunade's very oppressive eyes. "Lord Tsunade, I think, maybe. Stop talking nonsense." Tsunade didn't listen to Namikaze Minato. She didn't want to listen. It was meaningless. She pushed Namikaze Minato away again, stood up straight and pinched her waist. "Don't say I didn't remind you, I'm doing it for your own good." After saying that, Tsunade turned around and walked out. Namikaze Minato opened his mouth to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. Just as Tsunade walked to the door, a slender and beautiful ninja came out of the kitchen on the north side of the lobby, holding the freshly boiled soup in her hand. Namikaze Minato's fiancé, Konoha's 4th-generation Kyuubi, Nine-Tails Person Jinchuriki, Column Force, Uzumaki Arena. Tsunade was not allowed to be disturbed when he was healing Namikaze Minato, so Uzumaki Arena had been hiding in the kitchen until Tsunade was about to leave, and she didn't come out. "Send Tsunade-sama." Uzumaki Arena stopped after taking a few steps, and bowed respectfully to Tsunade. Tsunade stopped, glanced at Uzumaki Arena sideways, and pushed the door out. Almost at the same time, the faceless man who had been standing motionless in the corner also disappeared. On the roof outside the window, Lu Han, who was hiding in the dark, also began to change positions. After solving White Zetsu's problem, he has been following Tsunade, always in secret. On the one hand, this is a kind of protection for Tsunade. On the other hand, he wants to use Tsunade to examine the mentality of some important people in Konoha today. Outside the door. Seeing Tsunade come out, Kaharu Udatane immediately showed eager eyes. Seeing Tsunade nodded, he showed a happy smile. He pushed the door impatiently and walked in. Homura Mitokado nodded to Tsunade and followed in. The door closed again, leaving only Tsunade and Orochimaru outside. The two were speechless. After 10 minutes, the door opened again. Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado went out first, followed by Namikaze Minato, who had changed into a ninja suit. Namikaze Minato paused for a while before going out, whispered something to Uzumaki Arena, and when Uzumaki Arena nodded, this came out. The four of them left the yard together. Orochimaru always walked last. Tsunade and Kaharu Udatane were side by side. Without talking, Kaharu Udatane's eyes fell on Tsunade's face from time to time. She could feel that Tsunade was a little nervous at the moment. The hardest time has come. Tsunade was about to make a public appearance, and she didn't know what to expect. A street full of people. A group of people walked slowly. The destination is the morning hall of the Hokage building. Behind and on both sides are guards. There are more than 20 people, and there are only a few people who are surrounded. The Konoha ninja on Kaharu Udatane Street naturally knows each other, and the young woman beside her. They also know each other. 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen direct disciple, one of the legendary Sannin, medical saint Tsunade. It's her identity, but not the most important thing. Now her most important identity is the wife of the legendary ninja Han Guang. It's her. Lord Tsunade, how could you? How dare she come here? Walking with Lord Kaharu. Even Mr. Minato is following. What's going on? Damn, she has been gone for 10 years. Her husband killed Lord Hokage, and she dares to come. Seemed that ice water was sprinkled in the hot oil pan, and at the moment when Tsunade officially appeared on the street, the pan was completely fried. But some were just voices and discussions. No one dared to approach, no one dared to do anything, because both Kaharu Udatane and Namikaze Minato were by Tsunade's side. In this way, Tsunade swaggers through the noisy streets. She heard all kinds of voices, including unspeakable sighs, complex emotions, indignant snorts, and sharp and mean scolding. At first, she still had some small emotions, even a sadness that she had nowhere to vent, but soon she calmed down. Actually, it's nothing. This is her own choice, and it seems that it is not that difficult to bear. Spread quickly throughout Konoha. Tsunade is here. She is coming. The Hokage building. When Tsunade and others arrived at the gate, there were no less than 1,000 ninjas gathered near the Hokage building, and more ninjas were rushing over to watch Tsunade. They didn't know what else to do. Move Tsunade. Most of them humans don't have the guts, and even those ninjas who have the guts are no match for Tsunade. However, the situation is on the verge of getting out of control. Just as Tsunade stepped up the stairs and wanted to enter the morning hall of the Hokage building, more and more shouting and scolding appeared. Driven by people with a heart, more and more people began to shout loudly. The scolding was nothing more than making Tsunade roll. Said Tsunade that you deserve to go to the morning hall or something. An emotional scene. Shut up. Kaharu Udatane, who had been silent for a while, suddenly shouted, his voice sharp. The majesty shocks the audience. Suddenly quiet. There is an injustice, a debtor, everyone calm down. Namikaze Minato followed, and many ninjas noticed that he was healed, and Tsunade was here again, and the reason was not difficult to associate. I just came to see the teacher off. Tsunade said indifferently, expressionless. No groveling. No crying. No repentance of sins. At this moment, she did not bow her head. She said it dignifiedly, she just came to see him off. As Orochimaru once said, Tsunade came to Konoha, and it was not her who humiliated, but the cold light. The husband killed someone, and the wife came to apologize. Come to kowtow to admit your mistake. To beg for forgiveness. Who will be more ugly at that time? Who is disgusting? Tsunade doesn't want this. She doesn't want to bring humiliation to Luhan, and she doesn't want her husband to be ridiculed and laughed at. So here, she can't bow her head. The surroundings were still silent, and there were hundreds of ninjas looking at me and looking at you, but no one made a sound. Let's go. Kaharu Udatane tapped Tsunade's shoulder. A few people walked towards the Hokage building and only took a few steps. Sudden. Call, 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 call. More than 10 whirlwinds appeared inside and outside the gate, and more than 10 figures appeared at the same time, blocking Tsunade's way in a semi-encircled formation. All of these people had cold breaths and dressed mysteriously. They were root ninjas. Musashi, what do you want? Kaharu Udatane yelled. Chapter 1003-Avenge Hokage-sama. There are more than a dozen root ninjas, and the one standing in the middle is a skinny ninja dressed in a mysterious way. Lord Kaharu, you don't seem to have the right to control me, do you? Musashi said hoarsely, squinting slightly. You can think so, but... Kaharu Udatane's face was dark. She was a little worried that Musashi would come out to disrupt the situation, but it still happened. Kaharu Udatane really can't control Musashi. This is already a problem left over from history. The former leader of the root organization, Danzo, is the second task of Konoha village. The independent master root organization only obeys Hokage, while the root organization ninja only obeys Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen rebuilds the root tissue, using the previous rules, because he wants to raise Musashi as the new Danzo, the new dark side of Konoha. And now, Sarutobi Hiruzen died in battle and has not yet been buried. Konoha is in the transition period of power, and there is a power vacuum. Kaharu Udatane can't order Musashi either, and Namikaze Minato, who is chosen as his successor, naturally can't because he has not yet assumed the position. No, but... Musashi interrupted Kaharu Udatane. His eyes swept straight to Tsunade, and his voice was weird. Master Tsunade, I really admire your courage. You dare to come here. Go away, Tsunade said coldly, without giving any face. She knows who Musashi is. It is also known that Musashi has a special relationship with Uchiha Madara. Therefore, she would not treat Musashi as a normal Konoha ninja, not an exaggerated enemy. Yo, I've heard of your temper for a long time, but I didn't expect it. Musashi put his hand on the hilt of the knife and tapped his fingertips subconsciously twice, then suddenly looked away, glanced at the surrounding Konoha ninjas, and said loudly, everyone. Han Guang's wife is here. If we catch her, it will be enough to force Han Guang to come to Konoha to kowtow and admit his mistake, and we can avenge Lord Hokage. This is the chance. Tsunade, whoever she was, she has left Konoha. 10 years later, after her husband killed Hokage-sama, she came to Matsuri again, which is ridiculous, isn't it? Many people's faces changed at the same time. Some had already shown their heartbeat expressions, and some were worried. Musashi. Kaharu Udatane suddenly changed color and exclaimed, shut up. You have no reason to speak here. Don't provoke here. Kaharu Udatane was about to explode with anger. Because she was worried, even afraid. She knew that the cold light was also here, and it was nearby. In this case, whoever dares to attack Tsunade, the entire Konoha will be reduced to a battlefield, and the invincible cold light will definitely make Konoha pay the ultimate price again. Lord Kaharu, you have no right to order me. Your indecisive character is really not suitable for Chief Konoha. Musashi said in a low voice, and then snorted coldly, give it to me. Woo-hoo-hoo. Figures of the 5-6 paths rushed towards Tsunade at the same time. All of them were root ninjas, but the rest didn't do anything, and Musashi was even more ready to step back. Killed by the furious Tsunade, Tsunade was so strong. He just wants to jump into the flames of war. As long as the fight starts, Tsunade refuses to let it go and kills people, and the situation will immediately get out of control. At that time, those Konoha ninjas who were just around the corner will have even more reason to attack Tsunade. Stop them. Kaharu Udatane responded very quickly, waving in surprise. Her guards all rushed out, trying to stop the root ninja from approaching. Namikaze Minato, who wanted to move, shook for a while and then stopped. He felt a lot more at ease. He wanted to stop, but it seemed that he was no longer needed, and his injury was not completely healed, so it was not convenient to do it. 6 root ninjas and 8 Kaharu Udatane guard ninjas directly collided with each other. The average strength of root ninjas was extremely strong. Only 3 were directly blocked, while the other three bypassed the block and flashed towards Tsunade. Everything happened extremely fast. There were many exclamations around. Tsunade stared blankly at the danger approaching, motionless. Knife light up, but it was Tsunade behind him that a black shadow sprang up, and met the three root ninjas with a thunderous sword light. The root ninja passed by, then rushed through the chaotic crowd, and passed by the other three root ninjas. When he stopped, the 6 hands-on root ninjas fell to the ground, broken in two. The rich bloody smell spreads out quickly, irritating everyone's nasal cavity. Too fast. When Namikaze Minato was about to shoot, the figure stopped. Faceless guy. Everyone looked at him, faceless man. This person is very similar to Han Guang, if you look at the back. But he is not. Damn it. Kaharu Udatane cursed in his heart, still dead. Although it wasn't directly killed by Tsunade, it may still lead to more intense conflict. And this scene is extremely angry from the point of view of the Konoha ninja, because it is the Konoha ninja who died. If Konoha doesn't fight back, it is really, too useless. You! How dare you, Tsunade! Musashi shouted angrily, his hands shaking when he pointed at Tsunade. How dare you kill someone? He directly placed the blame on Tsunade's head, just to provoke trouble. You do it first, Tsunade replied coldly. There was a commotion all around, and some ninjas were moving forward, approaching to surround Tsunade. Listen to me first. Kaharu Udatane immediately shouted to the surroundings, trying to stop the impending conflict. Master Kaharu, you are betraying Konoha. You are betraying Master Hokage. Musashi interrupted Kaharu Udatane with a higher voice, and then hoarse, Lord Hokage is still alive, you actually protect this woman. We want to avenge Master Hokage. Revenge. You, Kaharu Udatane was going crazy with anger. What am I? Everyone, let's catch her. Let's catch her together. Hangguang will come to confess. Musashi continued to provoke, avenge Hokage-sama. Vengeance. Vengeance. Some people are finally fully infected and they move. Boom _ Ultimate, terrifying chakra fluctuations spread from the front of the Hokage building at this moment. If you don't want to die, stand up for me. The cold voice without the slightest emotion reverberated in the sky above Konoha village. Chapter 1004 accompany you to the end. Han Guang's voice echoed over Konoha village like a thunderbolt. At this moment, everyone who wanted to do something stopped nervously, and their bodies were shrouded in terrifying fear. Namikaze Minato has already held Hiraishin in his hand, but his temples are sweating. He is not Hangguang's opponent, and he is still injured. If Hangguang really wants to kill here, he is currently the most powerful ninja in Konoha. He couldn't stop it at all. Orochimaru was tense all over. Kaharu Udatane looked startled. Tsunade also clenched his fists at this moment. What about people? Where is he? Han Guang, he's here. No one saw Han Guang himself, only the terrifying breath of Ultimate and the cold words just now. The ninja who wanted to attack Tsunade, but no one dared to move. Musashi's eyes were already a little frightened. He dared to do it today. Everything was based on the fact that the cold light did not come. He dared to incite, dare to attack Tsunade, because he believed that Tsunade would eventually choose to capture it without his hands. But the cold light came. Musashi already felt that a reward was placed on the top of his head, a killing knife that could be cut off at any time. And there is no possibility of escape. Judging from Hangguang's past achievements and the current comprehensive situation of the ninja world, the legendary ninja Hangguang, he was the king of World War II, and in this era, he is still invincible at present. There was silence all around. Kaharu Udatane's hands were trembling slightly. She was not afraid of Hangguang, because Hangguang would not kill her. The relationship between the two was extremely bad, but they had become good personal friends in the late World War II. What she worried about was that Konoha would die a lot. People in the crowd gathered on the northwest side. Several ninjas seemed to be frightened, as if they found something terrifying around them, and they all jumped away. The surroundings are empty, only one person is left in the middle. Thin and tall figure, sharp eyes like electricity, icy mask, abyss-like breath. It is cold light. He was standing in the crowd, but no one noticed him before. You all need to calm down, fight, it's not good for anyone. Lu coldly said, glanced around, and with a flick of his body, he appeared beside Tsunade. Han. Tsunade grabbed Lu Han's arm and called softly. On the one hand, it is to show her attitude. Although her husband killed her teacher, she came to Matsuri to worship her, but she did not resent her husband because of it. On the other hand, she hoped that Lu Han would also calm down. Today, there should be no killing. Lord Hangguang, you shouldn't come to Konoha again. Kaharu Udatane sighed, and he was relieved. There are hundreds of Konoha ninjas around, but they're all terrified. When Sarutobi Hiruzen died a few days ago, they were full of blood and dared to launch a fearless attack on the cold light like the terrifying Great Devil, but after so many days, they should have calmed down, and all they should be afraid of have been afraid, and almost all of Sarutobi Hiruzen's loyalists died in that battle, so they dared not do it. This is very sad. But also fortunate. At least that's what Kaharu Udatane thinks. She doesn't think Konoha should avenge Sarutobi Hiruzen because she knows the inside story and knows everything. Whether it is Sarutobi Hiruzen or Hangguang, they are the people who have made countless merits for Konoha's life and death, and they should all be Konoha's heroes. Lord Kaharu, I actually don't want to come. Lu Han glanced at Kaharu Udatane. I have a grudge with Sarutobi Hiruzen. You should know the reason. You and I know the reason, but Tsunade is coming. She just wants to say goodbye. It's just a former teacher. I don't think it's so contradictory. Although we are husband and wife, we are two independent people after all. I expected that this might happen, so I came. Bully one woman, is it interesting? Yes. Lu Han seemed to be asking Kaharu Udatane, but he was actually asking everyone in the audience. No one dared to answer Lu Han's question. They all now have a sense of terror dominated by the great demon king. Tsunade subconsciously squeezed Lu Han's arm, bowing his head silently. Very good. Don't answer me. Lu Han smiled strangely, raised his hand and took off his mask, revealing a young face, looking at Musashi and the others who were blocking the door, and asked, why don't you speak? Already. Musashi gripped the handle of the sword tightly, his whole body tense, and he didn't say a word. Are you afraid? Lu Han raised his brows. I know you understand people's hearts and you can read them, but do you know what I'm thinking now? Musashi remained speechless, staring at Lu Han. He couldn't see through. Lu Han's heart was pitch black, not as simple as a fog. Tsunade, she is a woman who is strong on the outside and soft on the inside. You are here to provoke. You know very well that Tsunade will eventually be captured. You have caught her heart, but you didn't expect that I'm here, did you? Lu Han squinted slightly. Tsunade won't kill you, but I will. I want you to die. You will surely die, so are you afraid? Musashi's eyes were already a bit fierce, and he was stimulated because Lu Han was absolutely right. But after all, he had the impulse to fight rationally, and he still didn't speak. He really didn't want to die. Remember my words, all of you here, remember. Lu Han said again. If you were wronged, you have a debt, and you don't want to trouble my family. The price is not something you can afford. The great Lord Hokage's revenge, then come to me. I'm cold, I'll stay with you to the end. At this moment, Lu Han is unprecedentedly arrogant. Because he has given up the glory he once had in Konoha, he no longer considers his own prestige, the merits he has established in Konoha, the influence, let go of all this, he is fearless. Perhaps, in the eyes of the Konoha ninja, he is already a bad guy, a complete villain, or even a devil. But what's the problem? Bad guys can be heroes, villains, and heroes. For example, the former Hanzo. Lu Han admired Hanzo very much because he was purer than Sarutobi Hiruzen, which was the reason why Lu Han kept the whole body for Hanzo at that time. Chapter 1005 _ I say. Most humiliating day for the largest force in the ninja world, the largest ninja village, and Konoha village. Because the murderer of Hokage is here again, and, speaking of nonsense, in front of everyone's eyes, but none of the hundreds of ninjas in Konoha dare to refute, they seem to have lost their courage and their dignity as ninjas. Some ninjas can't help but want to do it. Young ninjas are impulsive and youthful. But when they looked around, they found that more ninjas chose to be forbearance. When they are big people, they find that the faces of those people are not humiliating, but complicated. In Konoha village, there are a lot of senior ninjas who know some insider stories about Akatsuki and know the grievances between Hongguang and Sarutobi Hiruzen. Da. Footsteps suddenly appeared, breaking the silence, from inside the Hokage building. All were attracted. A large group of people rushed out of the Hokage building. A middle-aged ninja wearing a robe and filial piety ran past Musashi, stopped abruptly, and looked at Lu Han excitedly. This man is nearly 40 years old, maybe not yet. Appearance is somewhat similar to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Sarutobi Yushuen. The eldest son of Sarutobi Hiruzen. During World War II, he served as Captain Konoha Anbu's assistant. Although his strength is not bad, he is not as good as Anbu's core ninja. He belongs to the Internal Affairs Ninja. At present, Sarutobi Yushuen has left Anbu and is working in the administrative department. Sarutobi Hiruzen wants to train him into the next generation of high-level consultants. Han, Lord Hongguang. Sarutobi Yushuen seemed to be out of breath, his whole body was shaking, his voice suddenly raised, and he roared, "Why? Why did you kill my father? Why?" He was already excited to ultimate, his eyes turned to Yuhi, his eyes filled with enthusiasm. Once, he and Lu Han were very good friends. When Lu Han was the captain of Anbu, the two often ate at the same table. "A lot of things, you don't know." Lu Han replied indifferently. It was his father who died, so Lu Han understood his feelings, but he wouldn't feel that he did something wrong. "Answer me." Sarutobi Yushuen was very excited, and wanted to get close to Lu Han, but was told by the Anbu ninja who came out, "Why? What kind of deep hatred? Once, my father valued you so much, he put you down when the successor comes to train, why on earth did you kill him?" Quote. "Do you really want me to tell you?" Lu Han tilted his head slightly. Kaharu Udatane's face changed instantly, he rushed forward 2 steps, and scolded Sarutobi Yushuen. "Yushuen, you go back, it's none of your business here." "I really don't want to say that the dead are not." Lu Han sighed and glanced at Kaharu Udatane. "Master Kaharu, you protect him, you." Sarutobi Yushuen looked at Kaharu Udatane with incredible eyes. "Hongguang, you ******. Let me go, you get out of my way. Hongguang, you." A sharp cry suddenly came from the Hokage building, with hysterical cursing. It is Sarutobi Lake Biwa. Sarutobi Yushuen's mother, Sarutobi Hiruzen's wife. Feeling it, Sarutobi Bawaka wanted to rush out, but was held back. "Take Yushuen back, don't let anyone inside come out, we will solve the matter here." Kaharu Udatane decisively ordered the Anbu ninjas around. At this moment she no longer cares what the Konoha ninja think of her. Anyway, she is the highest power now. Yes, she can also order. "Maintain the cold light." "Do not." She is not maintaining the cold light. Hongguang doesn't need her to maintain. She is protecting Konoha, and Sarutobi Hiruzen's reputation. "Let go of me, you guys." Sarutobi Yushuen was crazy. Several Anbu ninjas wanted to hold him back, but Sarutobi Yushuen was an elite Jonin, and ordinary Anbu ninjas were really not his opponents. Moreover, those Anbu ninjas didn't seem to be doing much. Now Anbu's first squad leader, the acting leader, Hyuga Burnin, is standing in the crowd. There are several Anbu super elites around, but he has been silent and very silent. Sarutobi Yushuen was struggling and questioning Lu Han. The surrounding ninjas have already started talking. Some bloodshot eyes clenched their fists, some sighed, some looked at Kaharu Udatane in the wrong way, and some were looking at Namikaze Minato. This guy is like a dead man. After the cold light appeared, he stood there never moved. Enough! Lu Han suddenly burst out. The terrifying waves swept all around. Although it didn't hurt anyone, it made everyone quiet. Silence. I said. Lu Han said again. He smiled. His smile was very strange, and there was a trace of complexity at the corner of his grin. Yu Xuan, don't you want to know why I killed your father? I can tell you. I think this is not your question alone, but the question of the vast majority of people present. Han Guang, why on earth did you want to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen? Quote. Lord Hangguang. Kaharu Yuditane turned around suddenly, looked at Lu Han, his eyes begging. Lord Kaharu, you understand my chills, don't you? You know everything. Oh no, there should be something you don't know. But generally you understand why. I know your relationship with Sarutobi Hiruzen. He's dead. I hope that his death will be vigorous, the glory of death, and the merits will last forever. In fact, I also want to do the same. I don't like to say that the dead are not, but you have seen it. Look around, look at their eyes. I am so wrong. Do you understand? Lu Han finally threw his hands at Kaharu Yuditane. He appears to be seeking advice from Kaharu Yuditane. Because Kaharu Yuditane is someone he will never kill and absolutely respect. When Kaharu Yuditane led all the Konoha ninjas to kneel to greet Lu Han, who had just attacked the village of Iwagakure with his life and brought him back to King Wu Wei Mu, Lu Han will never forget that scene. For Konoha, Kaharu Yuditane can find out the grudge, even Lu Han's grudge for killing Danzo, she also let go. Kaharu Yuditane took a deep breath, the corners of her eyes were slightly moist. She looked around, at the Konoha ninjas, their eyes, their emotions. She thought of the death and injury of Konoha in the battle a few days ago, and the continuous struggle between Lu Han and Sarutobi Hiruzen nearly 15 years of grievances. Also thought of Konoha's future. Go ahead. Kaharu Yuditane bowed his head helplessly. Chapter 1006 Am I doing something wrong? For Kaharu Yuditane, Konoha's survival is above everything else. She must weigh what is more beneficial to Konoha to make the right decision. For her, Sarutobi Hiruzen's honor can never be higher than the Konoha village itself. Of course, she is also self-aware. When Han Guang seeks her opinion, it does not mean that she can control Han Guang's words and deeds. The so-called people respect me 1 foot, and I respect others 10 feet. She understands Lu Han's feelings and thoughts. Because the cold light was too strong, he was already disdainful to explain and was not afraid. In fact, this mentality is very scary. If Han Guang is not given a chance to explain, he will kill without any scruples. Because of his injustice, he will be merciless to those who misunderstand him and want to hurt him, right or wrong. He is not. They will think they are wrong, no matter how many people they kill. Then I'll say it. Lu Han said indifferently, turned around suddenly, and glanced back and forth in all directions. He wanted to remember the current state of these Konoha ninjas. In terms of ratio, the orange name only accounts for 20%, and the Yuhi name accounts for 80%. Sarutobi Yu Xuan was pulled by the Anbu ninja. His face was like Yuhi with excitement, sweat and tears dripped down his cheeks. He still couldn't control himself, stared at Lu Han with wide eyes, waiting for the so-called explanation. Konoha ninjas gathered near the Hokage building, and those who can come over have rushed over. Now the main Konoha army is out, and the total number of Konoha ninjas in the Konoha village is only 4,000 or 5,000. The big guys are basically here. But they didn't get together, because the core Kaharu Yuditane and Namikaze Minato were too close to Lu Han, so they didn't dare to gather around Kaharu Yuditane. They didn't stand together. They were scattered near the Hokage building, and some were still standing at a distance from Hokage. The roof of the building near the building, looking at the situation here. Orochimaru hugged his shoulders, always standing behind Homura Mitokado. He hadn't moved for a long time, as if it had nothing to do with him. His face was always cold. Namikaze Minato held the kunai back, but his arms were drooping, and his expression was complicated. He has heard Kaharu Yuditane talk about the grievance between Han Guang and Sarutobi Hiruzen, although it is only part of it. but he also understands that once Han Guang says everything, it will inevitably reverse the views and attitudes of some Konoha ninjas towards him. How much it can be reversed, and how much it can be reversed, depends on how much Han Guang can say. The low-pitched self-talk, the noisy argument, the buzzing discussion, gradually, all the sounds disappeared, and it seemed that even the wind had stopped blowing. The Hokage building was crowded with people, but the needles could be heard quietly. They are all waiting. Waiting for that reason, or explanation. Luhan moved his footsteps, turned around in place, looked at those eyes and faces, and finally, he looked at Tsunade beside him. The moment their eyes crossed, Luhan saw in Tsunade's eyes firm support. Tsunade will not make Luhan wronged because of Sarutobi Hiruzen. My grievance with Sarutobi Hiruzen started more than 10 years ago, during the Second Ninja World War, when Danzo died. Luhan said in a low voice and sneered, "You may not believe it when you say it. When I just left the ninja school, I wasn't even a genin, and Danzo sent someone to assassinate me, because at that time, I just had a feud with the Uchiha clan." Luhan turned his head to look at the southeast roof of the Hokage building. Uchiha Fugaku and other Uchiha ninjas were mostly gathered there. The couple Fugaku and Kane were surrounded by them. "It's incredible, isn't it?" Luhan retracted his gaze and said quickly, "At that time, I was just a small person, but Danzo, as Hokage's assistant, was so high, he wanted me to die." Everyone looked at Luhan, and they all had the same question, why? The reason is very simple. Luhan seemed to know what they were thinking, and replied, "He wants me to die, and then blame the Uchiha clan. Use the conflict between me and the Uchiha clan to make a fuss. To attack the Uchiha clan. As for him, why do you want to attack the Uchiha clan? Don't tell me, you should understand." Luhan finally said it was not a secret. It was an open secret that the senior Konoha leaders were worried about the Uchiha tribe. Especially in the past 10 years, there have been rumors that Uchiha Madara is still alive. Troops, but have to be under stricter surveillance from the garrison and Anbu. Everyone knows that. But they would never have imagined that the top officials of Konoha had once played a black hand on the Uchiha clan. Actively want to attack the Uchiha clan. Just because you're worried. Really, just so. This is just the beginning. Luhan continued, "Danzo sent someone to assassinate me, and it failed. It was because of the failure that he began to suspect me. It was a Jonin, but he was assassinating. I have to be killed by me that night. I have to say here that at that time, I actually had the strength of Chunin, and I was a genius. So I killed Jonin, you have no doubts, right?" Luhan glanced around. No one answered him. Of course, there is no doubt that the rapid rise of Hangguang and the evil spirit of talent are evidenced by history. Ever since Danzo began to suspect that there was something wrong with me, in the next few years, he has sent killers to assassinate me several times, each time being stronger. Those people, not only from the root organization, but also from the squad leader of Anbu. If I remember correctly, that person should be called Shimura Hozo. Assassination after assassination, from the beginning of his suspicion, to the fact that he wants revenge because of the person I killed him, and finally, we both want to kill each other, there is no reason, just because of hatred. All of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen knows. Even if he didn't know it at first, he definitely knew it later. Konoha 35 years. Danzo sent someone to assassinate me for the last time. Failed. Danzo defected to Konoha because of this. Actually he didn't defect, but Sarutobi Hiruzen let him go, because if he doesn't go, I return to Konoha and I will kill him. I found Danzo who defected in the country of the vortex, and I killed him. My grudge with Sarutobi Hiruzen begins here. Am I wrong? Chapter 1007 _ No perfect person. The voices of the discussions and quarrels were getting louder and louder. Luhan didn't even say what was really important, and they began to disbelieve. Some elderly ninjas naturally knew what kind of person Sarutobi Hiruzen was. For young ninjas, Sarutobi Hiruzen is a great god. Konoha has modeled Han Guang as a god for 10 years. Been 30 years since Konoha portrayed Sarutobi Hiruzen as a god. It can be said that Sarutobi Hiruzen has been a myth since the end of the First Ninja World War, and now, he has become a kind of faith. Danzo sent people to assassinate Han Guang many times. Multiple times before and after for up to several years. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew everything and even protected Danzo, even let him go. A grudge with Han Guang because he killed Danzo. This is not in line with Sarutobi Hiruzen's long-standing integrity. On the other hand, it can even be described as a dark heart, because even if he shields Danzo, he shouldn't be resentful because of it. Right or wrong is clear, if everything Han Guang said is true. What evidence do you have? What happened more than 10 years ago? You say nothing. Danzo's defection to Konoha is unforgivable, but Lord Hokage, it's definitely not what you said. Someone retorted Luhan loudly, with fierce words. Luhan looked back and saw that it was a very young ninja, tall and thin, standing in the crowd, with a garrison ninja above his head named Inuzuka too. The Inuzuka clan, like the Hyuga clan, in the Konoha village are the trusted clan of Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the chief commander of the garrison has always been a group of ninjas from Inuzuka. Luhan looked at Inuzuka too. The scene suddenly fell silent. Luhan's breath was very dangerous, which made people very uneasy, and the young ninja openly clamored to refute a generation of legends, which in itself was a thing that made people sweat. What? Do you have any evidence? Inuzuka said with Yuhi's face too high, and biting her head nervously. I don't need to show you guys, any evidence. What I didn't want to say was that you wanted to know everything. You asked me to tell me, didn't you? I know that in your hearts, Sarutobi Hiruzen is a person who is infinitely close to perfection. He is brave, wise, and just. He has saved Konoha from danger several times. From the First Ninja War, he was in danger, and he led Konoha to the prosperous, with an incomparably bright and stalwart image. Luhan paused, then asked, is there really such a person? A perfect person, is there? Silence. Luhan waited for a few seconds, then turned to look back and forth. Who dares to say yes? Anyone with a long brain understands that there is no perfect person in the world, even the original king, the original god, the first-generation Hokage Senju Hashirama, is not perfect. Obviously, there is no perfect person. Luhan said heavily, this sentence is very absolute. Danzo. In fact, I can't deny that Danzo is extremely loyal to Konoha. He even hopes that Konoha will become more powerful than Sarutobi Hiruzen. He hopes that Konoha can rule the ninja world and become the master of the ninja world. But Danzo's selfish desires also heavier than the average person. Danzo once tried to take the position of Hokage, and more than once, he made a black hand, but it didn't work. He is no match for Sarutobi Hiruzen. However, no. Someone interrupted Luhan's words again. A young voice said, since you said that Danzo tried to take the position of Hokage, how could Lord Hokage still protect him? How can he still have a grudge against you because of Danzo? This seems to be a logical error. But only people who don't know about Sarutobi Hiruzen's relationship with Danzo will think this is a mistake. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Luhan didn't turn around to look at the speaker, and responded directly, why is Sarutobi Hiruzen so perfect? Why do you condone Danzo? Why do you keep protecting Danzo? Everything. Because Danzo has always been there. Take responsibility for him. All the dark, bloody, heinous, unforgivable things. Sarutobi Hiruzen is the real decision maker. He knows everything about Akatsuki, but pretends not to know. The responsibility is Danzo's. During the Second Ninja World War, the Anbu Root organization led by Danzo was frightening, not only the enemy, but also the people inside Konoha. At that time, I think it only needs more than 30 people today. Year-old Konoha ninja, you should all know. Quote. But. You said. Blood mouth. There were more than one attempts to interrupt Luhan's words. I know some of you still don't believe it. Luhan said at a faster pace, then paused again, raised his hand and shook it, then I'll give you an example. After Luhan finished speaking, he glanced at Tsunade beside him. Tsunade pursed her lips. She knew what Luhan was going to say. Don't you think it's strange? Luhan turned slightly and glanced at more Konoha ninjas. The first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, the second Hokage, Senju Tobarama. The Senju clan were once extremely powerful. The reason why the Sengoku era could end, it is because of the incomparably powerful strength of the Senju clan, and Shodai first, Sama, who has the world in his heart. But now the Senju clan is in decline. Apart from the glory of the past, the current Senju clan are only the third-rate small clan of Konoha. Strange, isn't it? Sad, isn't it? What happened? Yes, this is indeed. How come the Senju family? Some young ninjas questioned subconsciously. They all grew up listening to the legends and stories of the past. They know that the Senju family was once strong, and it was written in textbooks. Konoha was about 16 years ago, at the end of the First Ninja World War. Speaking of which, it was 30 years ago. Luhan spoke again with a serious expression. At that time, the Ninja World War was very anxious, and thousands of miles were killed and injured. In order to end the war as soon as possible, Sarutobi Hiruzen decided to carry out an extremely radical plan, and it was precisely because of that plan that the young generation of the Senju clan died, and the tribal heritage of the Senju clan was divided. Chapter 1008_Historical Truth. The truth of history is always cruel, especially when those truths are turned into cold words and words. It will make people feel more cold. The reason for the decline of the Senju family is simple, because the teenage generation has died too much. And they will die only because of a wrong decision by Sarutobi Hiruzen. But it was this wrong decision that caused the powerful tribe that carried the supreme glory to turn into the dust of history. Maybe it won't be long. In more than 10 years, the word Senju, in Konoha, can only be a few ninjas. Surname only. What plan? What decision? And this kind of thing. Because there are too many people around, there are always some impatient people, urging Luhan to hope that he will speak out soon. In fact, some people have believed Luhan now, not because they suspected Sarutobi Hiruzen before, but the high-level Konoha present, always silent. It was as if he had acquiesced in everything Han Guang said. That was an experiment, Luhan said in a low voice. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo intend to create a combination of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. He wants to create a war machine, so he took all the talented ninjas and children of the Senju family's younger generation. They were all sent to the secret base, and experiments were carried out. The experiment process was to transplant Sharingan to the Senju family. What? That's it. Not far away, the faces of the Uchiha ninjas on the buildings changed, including Uchiha Fugaku and the elderly elders, who didn't even know about it. Sharingan was collected during the war, because the entire Uchiha clan can open their eyes, and the Uchiha ninja who died in the war are enough to provide enough Sharingan. On the Senju clan, there are 70 or 80 people, the youngest is only a few years old. The older ones are only teens, they are all real people. They will have their eyes gouged out and transplanted with Sharingan that doesn't belong to them. The experiment failed, completely failed, because the Kekkei Genkei of the Senju clan has a young nature, while the Uchiha clan's Kekkei Genkei has a young nature. The sage body and the sage's eye have conflicting attributes. If their abilities are strong enough, they can also be merged, but those who were tested were not strong enough. Quote. As a result, only one person survived. All the others died, and even the one who survived lived in pain, and was a failed experiment. The plan failed completely. Lord Hangguang, Kaharu Udatane said suddenly, interrupting Luhan's words. Speak. Luhan turned his head to look at Kaharu Udatane. I have to explain, Kaharu Udatane said with a complicated face. Hiruzen had a good intention in that experiment, and Danzo proposed this experiment. Danzo repeatedly persuaded Hiruzen to consider it before making a decision. For Konoha too. I didn't say he didn't do it for Konoha. Luhan spread his hands, but said again, I never deny that Sarutobi Hiruzen has a heart that dares to sacrifice for Konoha, but What I really want to say is that Sarutobi Hiruzen his hypocrisy. He doesn't dare to take responsibility. As you said to me, you think it's Danzo's fault. This is Sarutobi Hiruzen's last remedy. He hides as much as he can, and from some people he can't, and Danzo jumps come out and take the blame. And this, Luhan turned around and glanced at everyone present. That's the reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen condoned and sheltered Danzo. The sin of causing the decline of the Senju clan, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't bear it, and he didn't even think about taking responsibility in the past. Am I right, Kaharu-sama? Kaharu Udatane was silent and clenched her hands subconsciously. She couldn't refute Luhan. Because Luhan is right. Silence. Some people were already stunned. They already believed that this was true, because Kaharu Udatane's words corroborated what Luhan said. This is the truth of history. Sarutobi Hiruzen is a direct disciple of Hokage Senju Tobarama, the second generation, but he is also the culprit behind the decline of the Senju clan. Sarutobi Hiruzen, is he not guilty? How much did Sarutobi Hiruzen owe Danzo to indulge and protect Danzo like that? Hangguang, you seem to be talking nonsense now, right? A slightly teasing voice suddenly appeared, with a certain sense of stagnation, emphasizing the weirdness. Luhan, look. It's Musashi. You killed Lord Hokage, Musashi said again, with an inexplicable gleam in his eyes, and what you are talking about now has nothing to do with this. It happened during the First Ninja World War. At that time, you were not born yet. Right, Lord Hokage has passed away. What do you say now? He can't jump out to refute you. Saying that, does it make sense? Musashi is obviously a lot more relaxed now. He is not so afraid, thinking that he has already felt that Han Guang's killing intention is very weak, otherwise he would not be so nonsense. Then let's talk about some direct reasons. Luhan looked at Musashi and replied, the corner of his mouth hooked vaguely. I don't know if it was an illusion or not, but Musashi vaguely felt another playfulness in Luhan's eyes. The first thing, Luhan raised a finger and said, about a person, Uchiha Lei-young. On the side of the building, all the ninjas surrounding Uchiha Fugaku suddenly changed color. They knew this best because they were direct participants, but they didn't expect that Han Guang had only been resurrected for a long time, and they found it. Luhan turned to look at Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku didn't dare to look at Luhan at all. Uchiha Lei-young. Oh, I know him, a rebel. Musashi said in a strange voice. It's also wrong to clean up the rebels. Why? It's rare because you had a personal friendship with Uchiha Lei-young, and you want to avenge him. That's why you killed Lord Hokage. Is that why you have to? Yes, this is one of my reasons. Luhan replied clearly, very seriously. Whoa. Suddenly there was a sound of shock around them. They couldn't believe that Han Guang dared to admit it so shamelessly. Revenge for the insurgents. However, Lei-young is not a rebel at all. Luhan immediately said again, with a very high voice, everything is framed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. He planned the whole incident. Chapter 1009 _ I have proof. The stone breaks the sky. Soon as Luhan finished speaking, all the sounds inside and outside the Hokage building disappeared. Most people were stunned, shocked, couldn't believe it, and were dumbfounded. Different from what Luhan said before, Sarutobi Hiruzen single-handedly caused the decline of the Senju clan, which was a big crime, but Sarutobi Hiruzen subjectively did not want to make mistakes, and he had a good starting point, in order to pacify the war. But Luhan is serious now. Although only some people of the Uchiha tribe died, although the strength of the Uchiha tribe was weakened because of this, the inheritance would not be cut off, and it only took a certain period of time to recover. But, framed and framed. Now the real sin. Can't be washed. Indisputable. You spit out blood. It's impossible. Uchiha Lei-young Langzi's ambition is known to the world. Lord Hangguang, you can't talk nonsense. There was an uproar. If the previous incident would only make some people disappointed in Sarutobi Hiruzen and make Sarutobi Hiruzen imperfect, then this incident would directly destroy all the glory and prestige of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Namikaze Minato was also shocked, stared at Lu Han, and immediately turned to look at Kaharu Utatane. Kaharu Utatane told him about Sarutobi Hiruzen's grievance with Hangwang, but it didn't include this. "Shut up. Listen to me," Lu Han let out a low voice. "Quiet around. The cause of the incident is because of me." Lu Han continued to tell, "More than 10 years ago, when I was in charge of Konoha, I reused Uchiha Leiyang, because I have a relationship with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Leiyang regarded me as a kin, not actually. Of course it's not important, the important thing is that our relationship is very good, he can be said to be my diehard. And after my death, Uchiha Leiyang was also devoted to Konoha, he had no two hearts. After Sarutobi Hiruzen returned, he still swears allegiance to Sarutobi Hiruzen. But Sarutobi Hiruzen secretly cooperated with Uchiha Madara. That's right, Uchiha Madara is still alive. 40 years ago, he fought Shodai first Sama in the Valley of the End and lost the battle, but he survived by the ultimate Eye of Sharingan, and he has been hiding in the dark ever since." Lu Han revealed the biggest secret in the ninja world today, that rumor is true. But about Uchiha Madara, it's not the focus of today's situation. Lu Han didn't wait for their response, and continued, "Uchiha Madara, and his subordinates White Zetsu and Black Zetsu, it was White Zetsu who kidnapped Tsunade back then. Go to the rescue, fight with Uchiha Madara, and die. Uchiha Madara is my enemy. Also Konoha's enemy. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen chose to cooperate with Uchiha Madara. I don't care what he is for. This matter is intolerable to me, and to Uchiha Leiyang, too so. It can even be said that Sarutobi Hiruzen has done this, and has already offended quite a few people. Even Lord Kaharu Utatane is extremely dissatisfied with this. I am right, Lord Kaharu." Lu Han looked at Kaharu Utatane with burning eyes. Kaharu Utatane clenched his fists and looked at Lu Han with complicated eyes. He didn't say right or wrong. Tacitly. "That's why there is a statue of me in the ninja school." Lu Han pointed in the direction of a genin school. "Sarutobi Hiruzen started to deify me in order to appease the anger and dissatisfaction of some people. I'm dead anyway, so make a god. Give me supreme honor, to smooth the turmoil in some people's hearts." I have to admit that Sarutobi Hiruzen's grasp of people's hearts is terrifying. He doesn't need to pay any price to make him, them. Lu Han turned around slowly, and clicked his finger on someone. The people who ordered were all high-ranking Konoha ninjas in their 40s and 50s, they all knew about Uchiha Madara, but they no longer objected. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen has already given me compensation, a ridiculous compensation. There was a commotion, and many young ninjas were looking at the high level and big Konoha standing near them. They want accurate answers. But those people are silent. Uchiha Leiyang is an exception. In fact, there are more than one such exception, but because the Uchiha Leiyang thing is the most sensational, so I brought it up and said. He does not accept Sarutobi Hiruzen's soothing, he can't stand Sarutobi Hiruzen's collaboration with Uchiha Madara. He wanted to spread the word about this incident to discredit Sarutobi Hiruzen and overthrow Sarutobi Hiruzen's rule over Konoha, but as a result, he caused himself to be killed. Because of this incident, no less than 100 people of the Uchiha tribe died before and after, including some old and young women and children. The impact of this incident has continued to this day. Some people have already calculated in their hearts how many Uchiha people have died in the past 10 years. The Uchiha ethnic group has indeed been very unstable in the past 10 years. There are always accidents. Since the rebellion that night, there have been many conflicts within the Uchiha ethnic group, as well as suicide incidents. What nonsense! A sharp angry shout startled everyone. Suddenly, it was Sarutobi Lake Biwa who rushed out of the Hokage building, and Jiang Kiba was about to rush towards Lu Han, like crazy, but she was pulled, and Kaharu Utatane hurriedly stepped forward and held her shoulders, not daring to let her close to Lu Han. Hiruzen will never do this. You are a slander. You bastard. Sarutobi Bawako kept struggling, howling and scolding, but couldn't break free, and finally lay on Kaharu Yutatane's shoulder, crying heart to heart. Mistress. Tsunade murmured, with a look of unbearable sadness on his face, and wanted to step forward to comfort him, but stopped after only one step. She also understood that when this time passed, Sarutobi Bawako would not necessarily accept her comfort, but would have the opposite effect. Luhan looked sideways at Sarutobi Lake Biwa, and was silent for a moment. When Sarutobi Lake Biwa was almost crying, he raised his head to scold him before he said, I have evidence. Does the witness count? Luhan was not asking for Sarutobi Bawako's opinion. He turned his head after speaking, glanced at it, and stopped immediately. His eyes fell on a group of masked ninjas in the crowd. Anbu Ninja. That night, known as the Night of Civil Unrest in Uchiha, was actually Anbu. It was you who led the team on the mission, right? Bailey. Anbu code name Bailey. Hyuga Burnin. Chapter 1010 document number 56489. Everyone looked at Hyuga Bonin. Among the Anbu ninjas, Hyuga Bonin was very eye-catching. Wearing a mask was not enough to hide his identity because his eyes were white. Sarutobi Bawako opened his mouth slightly, his expression was very stiff, and there were tears on his cheeks, staring at Hyuga Bonin with wide eyes. There are not a few people with similar expressions, but there are no tears. They were all waiting for Hyuga Bonin's answer. Even the surrounding Anbu ninjas were staring at Hyuga Bonin, waiting for an answer. Their perception of this matter is not much different from that of ordinary Konoha ninjas. They all say that Uchiha Leiyang wants to rebel. Quiet. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. The silence is disturbing. Hyuga Bonin maintained a regular standing posture, his hands on the hilt of the knife, and his eyes were deep. Don't you want to talk? Luhan raised his hand to Benin Hyuga, spreading his palms. Bonin Hyuga and Luhan looked at each other, and a hint of complexity flashed in the depths of the bottom. He used to be Luhan's subordinate. When Luhan was the captain of Anbu, he used him very much. At that time, the two of them had a good personal relationship. However, he is no longer the one he once was. Because Hitaki Teishuo is already a Konoha missing nin, and Sarutobi Hiruzen has just died, so there is no way to establish a new Anbu captain. Therefore, Hyuga Bonin, who is now in his 40s, as the number 1 Anbu captain, is automatically promoted to be the acting captain. Not only that, he is also Konoha's super elite Jonin, the most powerful figure in the Hyuga clan, and sits on the position of the elder. Today, Hyuga Hiyashi, the chief of the Hyuga clan's main clan, is his cousin. More than 10 years ago, he can only be said to be an excellent ninja, not a big man. Now, Count Sarutobi Hiruzen trusts him very much. If it wasn't for his strength, Sarutobi Hiruzen might not have transferred Hitaki Taishuo into Anbu, but promoted him directly. Konoha's previous Anbu captains are all extremely strong, but Hyuga Bonin is a little worse, and because of his age, he has no possibility of further growth. Say it, Sarutobi Bawako shouted. It's not true, right? You say it. She was very excited because she didn't believe that her husband was that kind of person. She didn't notice that right next to her, her son Sarutobi Yushuin had lowered his head. Bonin Hyuga moved his lips and finally spoke, but his voice was unexpectedly calm. Document number 56489. Top secret mission, stabilizing Konoha, secretly executing the disloyal group headed by Uchiha Leiyang. Totally needed to behead 38 people, one executed within a day. The execution cycle is 12 hours. The file has been destroyed, and the file has been eliminated. Hyuga Burnin is talking about the internal records of Anbu. This mission must be recorded, because there is a legitimate reason, but this reason is not true. Lord Hangwang, Hyuga Bonin said again, you're right. That's right. No, you lied. Sarutobi Bawako exclaimed excitedly, and began to struggle again, trying to rush to Benin Hyuga to question, but Kaharu Yutane held her tightly. Luhan glanced back, and immediately seemed to think of something, and said, "Oh right, Yu Xuan should be serving as Captain Anbu's assistant at that time, Lord Biwa Lake. You should ask your son what his father did, he should know." Sarutobi Lake Biwa stopped abruptly, then suddenly turned to look at his eldest son. Sarutobi Yu Xuan glanced at his mother, then immediately looked away, biting Kiba and clenching his fists, took a deep breath but said nothing. Attitude is obvious. Default. It is true. In fact, from Sarutobi Yu Xuan's point of view, he doesn't feel that his father is wrong, that people do not kill themselves for their own sake. Uchiha Leiyang intends to overthrow Sarutobi Hiruzen's notice and oust him from power. Sarutobi Hiruzen is just the first to strike. It's just that this matter can't be brought to the table. No matter how much I say, I can't justify it. This is framing. No, it's impossible. How could? Lord Hokage is definitely not such a person, definitely not. Lord Hokage, why? Arguments, self-questioning, noise, confusion. In fact, they have already believed this, but they don't want to believe that Sarutobi Hiruzen is such a person. Luhan tilted his head and glanced at Uchiha Fugaku and the others. In fact, they all knew about this, but Luhan didn't want them to testify. The Uchiha family was not trusted. Actually, there are many people who know the inside story of this matter. Luhan said loudly again, even, to eradicate Uchiha Leiyang and other dissidents, this whole thing was discussed and approved by the high-level people. Lord Kaharu, you know everything, right? Do you want to deny it? Luhan didn't target Kaharu Yutane. He didn't feel bad about Kaharu Yutane, he just said something. This matter is not the responsibility of Sarutobi Hiruzen alone. He alone does not dare to do such a big thing directly, so blatantly. This is the pot of the whole Konoha high-rise, they have to carry it. I don't deny it, you're right. I know about Uchiha Leiyang. Kaharu Yutane admitted it directly. It's so far, she can't admit it, and she's very calm, but I have to explain. Hiruzen is also for the stability of Konoha. If we don't do it, once Uchiha Thunder Young starts, he will make the whole Konoha into turmoil. He doesn't think about the consequences at all, and it's not something he can clean up when the mess is left. The turbulent Konoha, the village will let the enemy take advantage of it to enter. It is not as simple as killing dozens of people. There is some truth to what he said. Luhan cracked his mouth at Kaharu Yutane. Sarutobi Hiruzen can always find such reasons. Then I will ask you again, Lord Kaharu, where is White Fang? White Fang's death, he still has for what reason? White Fang didn't kill him. White Fang committed suicide. Kaharu Yutane suddenly panicked. It's not Hiruzen's fault. Isn't it? Luhan squinted slightly, glanced back again, and beckoned to a young ninja standing behind the crowd. You, come here. This young ninja is only 13 years old. His hair is silver white, and he wears a mask on his face, which obliquely blocks one eye. Hatake Kakashi. Chapter 1011 I will resurrect him. There was a little girl next to Hatake Kakashi, who was around the same age as him. Luhan appeared in Konoha this time, so almost all those who were able to rush to the Hokage building to watch, including some young ninjas, but all the younger ninjas stood very far behind. The position is not that they don't want to go forward, but that other adult ninjas do not allow them to go forward. Is extremely dangerous for all the Konoha ninjas present. Once a conflict breaks out, these little ninjas who are not old enough and are not strong enough will definitely not be able to directly participate in the war. Luhan said the word, White Fang, before, Hatake Kakashi's face changed. Regarding his father, this was his pain all the time. He was only 6 years old then. He couldn't understand his father's suicide. Also sad. To Sarutobi Hiruzen. Konoha, or what the whole ninja world knows, Hatake Sakumo committed suicide because he was criticized for failing the mission, and the reason why he failed the mission was to save his comrades. For some, Hatake Sakumo is a tragic hero. For others, Hatake Tsukumo is a pure coward, not a qualified ninja. The evaluation is polarized. The latter has more voices, which has cast an indelible shadow on Hatake Kakashi's childhood, and has had an immeasurable impact on his entire life. Everyone's eyes have already followed Luhan's hand, looking at Hatake Kakashi behind the crowd. Everyone knows that this is White Fang's son. Me. Hatake Kakashi raised his finger and pointed at himself. Some did not respond, and his emotions were also a little abnormal. It's you, Hatake Kakashi. Luhan said with certainty, then raised his head slightly. Your father should have mentioned me to you, right? Yes. Kakashi nodded. Then you should trust me, right? Luhan hooked him again. Come here. Hatake Kakashi hesitated for a moment, then forced the crowd away and walked towards Luhan. Nohara Rin also pulled his arm worriedly, but didn't hold it. Hatake Kakashi walked out of the circle of people and walked to Luhan's side. Lord Hangguang, who is my father? Kakashi couldn't help asking. Suicide, that's for sure. Luhan said, putting his hand on Kakashi's shoulder, in the gesture of an elder comforting the younger, half-hugging Kakashi, and then looking at Kaharu Udatane, he said in a high voice, but the reason for his suicide was not as simple as it seems. This matter also has something to do with Uchiha Leiyang. Back then, Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to get rid of Uchiha Leiyang and ordered White Fang to lead the team to carry out this task. This should be the first time Sarutobi Hiruzen asked White Fang to carry out this kind of attack against ninjas from the same village. The crime action, although there is a reason for the crown spring, but as the captain of Anbu, White Fang knows everything about Akatsuki and knows the real reason, so he chose to refuse. This is the task that Bailey leads the team to perform, not as Anbu the reason why the captain's White Fang led the execution. Since then, there has been a rift between Sarutobi Hiruzen and White Fang. Sarutobi Hiruzen thinks that White Fang is not loyal enough. White Fang is friendly with me, and Sarutobi Hiruzen cooperates with my mortal enemy Uchiha Madara. The stake is enough to make Sarutobi Hiruzen feel uneasy. White Fang is less and less trusted. In the end, because of me, because of my existence and my influence, some people will never accept the cooperation between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uchiha Madara. We'll take it, White Fang, maybe one of them. I have no way of knowing what White Fang is really thinking. I can't find it. White Fang is a very strict man, and he will not say no to Sarutobi Hiruzen until he dies, so he died. He was forced to die. In that mission, White Fang failed the mission in order to rescue his comrades. This is not unforgivable, considering the exploits that White Fang has made for Konoha. No matter how important this mission is, this is just a small mistake. Quote. However, when he returned to Konoha, he was greeted with endless complaints, ridicules, belittlings. I don't believe it, without Sarutobi Hiruzen behind him. Kaharu-sama, tell me, how could this be? Luhan put his arms around Hatake Kakashi's shoulder and looked directly at Kaharu Udatane. Kaharu Udatane's face was bitter. Her throat moved. She wanted to say something, but she didn't make a sound. Her body trembled a little. Nothing can be explained. Compared with the death of Uchiha Leiyang and others, Kaharu Udatane does not feel wrong or guilty. On the one hand, she has never liked the Uchiha clan. On the other hand, Uchiha Leiyang really threatened the stability of Konoha, but White Fang is different. White Fang's death has always been a pain in Kaharu Udatane's heart. She also felt guilty for it. Actually, White Fang doesn't necessarily care about the complaints and ridicule of those unrelated ninjas. What he cares about is the attitude of Sarutobi Hiruzen, but Sarutobi Hiruzen abandoned him. The pain of White Fang is not something ordinary people can understand. He was born and died for Konoha for more than 10 years. There are no more than 100 wounds on his body, and how many times he died, but what did he get in return? In exchange for the distrust of Hokage, in exchange for the abandonment of the whole Konoha. Maybe to justify anything, and he won't say Sarutobi Hiruzen's fault in turn, even if he holds the handle of Sarutobi Hiruzen in his hand, he won't say. Only by death can he be freed. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Lu Han turned around suddenly, pointed his finger forward, moved slowly, and swept his fingertips over the Konoha ninjas. You are all murderers, Sarutobi Hiruzen is the mastermind, and you are all accomplices. It is you who killed White Fang. Silence. No one dares to refute. Some slightly middle-aged ninjas even lowered their heads in shame and clenched their fists. Hatake Kakashi, who was hugged by Lu Han's shoulders, was already in tears, trembling uncontrollably. Kakashi, don't be sad. Lu Han turned his head and lowered his eyes again, patted Kakashi on the shoulder. White Fang is my good brother, I promise you, I will resurrect him. Chapter 1012-Biggest Reason. Hatake Kakashi's crying stopped abruptly, and he slowly raised his head to look at Lu Han. His expression was a little dull, and then he suddenly became extremely excited, and blurted out, resurrect. Resurrection. Lu Han affirmed, smiling slightly, you have to believe that I have this ability, don't you? Hatake Kakashi tilted his head slightly, his eyes widened, and something about the cold light flashed back in his mind. 10 years ago, Han Guang accidentally died in battle. Today, 10 years later, Han Guang is back, and he is resurrection. It may take a few months. My own resurrection is not the same as the resurrection of other people. Lu Han smiled again, but I can assure you that I will definitely resurrect your father, Hatake Tsukumo. Lord Hangguang, Hatake Kakashi said in a loud voice. Call me your lord, I'm your father's good brother. Lu Han smiled. Hatake Kakashi was taken aback for a moment, and then he said, Hangguang. Hangguang, uncle. Yeah, Lu Han nodded with satisfaction. From today onwards, the future 6th generation of Konoha, Hokage, will be his nephew. While Lu Han and Hatake Kakashi were talking, there was a very strange atmosphere inside and outside the Hokage building. The silent needle drop could be heard. They all heard it. Lu Han didn't lower his voice to hide anything. He wants to resurrect White Fang. It was said in public. Shocked is no longer enough to describe the mood of everyone present. Han Guang, he dared to say, resurrecting others casually. Bring the dead back to life. This kind of thing only exists in legends. Even gods don't seem to have this ability. Resurrection, the mystery of life and death. Orochimaru, who had been pretending to be transparent and silent, flashed a gleaming look in his eyes. Sarutobi Lake Biwa and Sarutobi Yushuan both looked at Lu Han with a complex look in shock. Kaharu Udatane was also surprised. Lu Han patted Hatake Kakashi on the shoulder again, then turned his head to look at Kaharu Udatane, just opened his mouth to say something, but before he made a sound, Kaharu Udatane said very excitedly, you stole White Fang's body. Obviously, it's me. Lu Han curled the corner of his mouth. He didn't like the word, steal. Can you really revive White Fang? Kaharu Udatane asked again. Of course, Lu Han said casually. That, Kaharu Udatane took a deep breath. Can you, too, resurrect Hiruzen? Quiet. Another terrifying silence. Only Lu Han looked relaxed and casual. I was able to resurrect Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he didn't die for more than 7 days. It was easy for me to resurrect him, it didn't take a few months. Lu Han said with a smile, paused, his face suddenly turned cold, but why should I resurrecting him? Resurrecting a person, after all, there is a price to pay. To me, White Fang is a brother and a close friend. I feel that his death is not worth it. I am willing to pay the price for him and resurrect him, but Sarutobi Hiruzen. Why should I resurrect him? Kill him again, huh? Quote. It clear that Lu Han will never resurrect Sarutobi Hiruzen. Hangguang, Lord Hangguang, Ultimate's excited shout suddenly sounded, and Sarutobi Yushuan suddenly broke free from a few Anbu ninjas who were blocking him, rushed forward a few steps, plop, and knelt on the ground. Lord Hangguang. Please. Whatever happened, those are over, aren't they? I beg you, resurrect my father, I beg you. Lu Han looked at Sarutobi Yushuan indifferently, watching him begging, watching him kowtow, unmoved. Tsunade gave Lu Han a complicated look, then withdrew his gaze, lowered his head, and said nothing. Here, the only person who can effectively persuade Lu Han is Tsunade. But Tsunade knew that she couldn't do this. She couldn't disagree with Lu Han on such an occasion and ask Lu Han to resurrect his enemy. That's not good. Even if that person is her teacher. The man has gold under his knees. Get up, Yu Xuan. The grievance between me and your father is beyond your comprehension. It doesn't make any sense for me to resurrect him. He is not a peaceful person, neither am I. The result. Only can I kill him again. After Lu Han said calmly, he stopped looking at Sarutobi Yu Xuan, his eyes swept to Kaharu Udatane, and then looked at the other Konoha executives around him, and said loudly, my grievance with Sarutobi Hiruzen is still a problem. It's not finished. Since so much has been said, there is no need to hide the rest. Actually, the biggest reason I killed Sarutobi Hiruzen was not the grudges related to others. During the 10 years when I died or fell asleep, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not harm my close relatives, my wife, my son. In fact, I also thought that after I was resurrected, I announced my return, and I, Sarutobi Hiruzen, joined hands to bring peace to this troubled world, but unfortunately this is only my own idea. Sarutobi Hiruzen regards me as a threat. After I was resurrected, the first time I revealed my whereabouts was in the country of Vortex. Tsunade was in danger in the country of Vortex. The demigod Hanzo was led by Black Zetsu, a subordinate of Uchiha Madara, and found Tsunade for the legendary Cold Light treasure. The treasure is indeed there. I gave it to Tsunade. Welcome to grab it. This is a digression. I killed Hanzo, but I couldn't help revealing my abilities, and Akatsuki was finally known by Black Zetsu to reveal my true identity. Black Zetsu knew it, Uchiha Madara knew it, and Sarutobi Hiruzen knew it too. After that, if Sarutobi Hiruzen chooses to turn against Uchiha Madara, there may be more discussions, but he didn't. He chose to continue to cooperate with Uchiha Madara, and they teamed up against me. When Orochimaru returned to Konoha that night, I was afraid that Uchiha Madara would take Uchiha Makoto as a hostage and threaten me, so I asked Orochimaru to secretly take Makoto away, but Orochimaru was blocked by Anbu and the Root organization, because at that time Tai Shuo, that is, Wu Feng, he didn't know about my resurrection, so he started with Orochimaru outside the village, and then he learned about me from Orochimaru. This is also the reason why Wu Feng assassinated Sarutobi Hiruzen. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen betrayed his promise, he once said to Wu Feng that he would definitely give Wu Feng a chance to kill Uchiha Madara. The cooperation is only temporary. Wu Feng is only loyal to Sarutobi Hiruzen in order to avenge me, and does not mind the cooperation with Uchiha Madara. But Sarutobi Hiruzen. You said, I killed Sarutobi Hiruzen, is it wrong? Chapter 1013 I almost became your adoptive father. Lu Han fully described his grievances with Sarutobi Hiruzen. In fact, as a caring person, if it was not necessary, Lu Han would not kill Sarutobi Hiruzen. For example, now, the chaos caused is very big. But Sarutobi Hiruzen is not a fuel-efficient lamp. If he doesn't kill him, he will give him the chance to plot against him. Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong? That question again. Lu Han didn't hear any rebuttals for this question, because the biggest reason Lu Han said was unsolvable. This was his personal grievance with Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the two of them must die. In killing and being killed, Lu Han was not at fault. I've said what I have to say. Since you have no doubts, I don't want to say anything more. I have always had clear grudges. If any one of you wants to avenge Sarutobi Hiruzen, come to me. I am cold, and I will accompany you to the end. Lu Han spread his hands and slowly turned around in place. No one spoke, and the surroundings were quiet. Actually, I don't want to come today, but I don't want Tsunade to come here alone. My grievance with Sarutobi Hiruzen is a matter of the two of us and has nothing to do with Tsunade, so I also hope you don't make trouble. Lu Han finished. He walked to Tsunade's side 2 more steps, took her by the shoulders gently, and whispered in his ear, "Go in, no one will embarrass you anymore, I'll watch in the dark." Tsunade pursed the corner of his lower lip and nodded obediently. Luhan looked back at Hitaki Kakashi next to him, patted Hitaki Kakashi on the shoulder with his hand, and said with a smile, "Let's talk when we have time." Okay, Uncle Hangwang," Kakashi replied cautiously. Luhan was about to leave. Everyone could see that no one was stopping him. Sarutobi Yushuin was still kneeling on the ground, his head bowed, and he didn't say a word. "Hangwang, did you just leave like this? Why didn't you make it clear?" Musashi, whose eyes flickered, suddenly took a step forward and said aloud, "He is no longer afraid of Hangwang, because he felt it. Hangwang said so many words, it is to quell the trouble, so now, it is impossible for him to kill people in anger because of some verbal conflict, otherwise, what he said before will be in vain." "Say what?" Luhan turned to look at Musashi, a strange look flashed in his eyes. "There's no reason to say it." Musashi's voice was weird. "You said that before, about the Senju family, about Uchiha Leiyang, about White Fang, okay. Since the adults present didn't refute you, I won't say anything, just take those it's true, but you said that Lord Hokage colluded with Uchiha Madara to plot against you. Everything is your guess, right? Do you have any evidence?" "You don't need any evidence, just say you know what evidence, is there any?" Musashi had a sneer in his eyes, because he knew that Hangwang didn't have any evidence. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Black Zetsu just discussed a plan and didn't do anything at all. How could there be evidence? "I said, in fact, what I don't want to explain is what you asked me to say. Whether you believe it or not is up to you," Luhan said indifferently, turning around and leaving. "Then you have no evidence," Musashi suddenly shouted. "You are maliciously slandering Hokage-sama." Luhan took a step forward, stopped again, tilted his head and narrowed his eyes. In fact, he knew that Musashi was deliberately provoking him. At this time, the more he said, the more suspicious he would be. Musashi's mentality at this time did not want to change the situation with a few words. He just wanted to turn the tide. Confused, so that Luhan can't explain clearly, in this way, even if Konoha can't seek revenge for Hangwang again, he won't let Hangwang return to Konoha. "Your loyalty to Sarutobi Hiruzen is really not ordinary." Luhan turned around and looked at Musashi, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. "Of course, being loyal to Hokage-sama is your duty as a Konoha ninja." Musashi also sneered. "Really?" Luhan raised his eyebrows slightly, "But why do I think that your allegiance is not Sarutobi Hiruzen, but Uchiha Madara?" "Huh," Musashi snorted, his eyes unchanged. "It's ridiculous. Hangwang, are you changing the subject?" No, this is not to change the subject. In fact, I wanted to talk about your problem for a long time, just because you are not that important, so I intend to put this matter aside first, but since you jumped out repeatedly, then I have to say. My question. It's getting more and more ridiculous. Do you know who you are? Luhan asked. Musashi's eyes changed. This question. He really didn't know. Because he is an orphan, he was raised by Anbu since he was a child. In fact, he has also pursued his past, but there is no clue, even Anbu Ninja does not know how he came. I am Musashi. Musashi said naturally. No, you're not Musashi. Luhan shook his head at him, suddenly raised his finger and pointed in the direction where Anbu ninjas gathered, and said, Bailey, tell him how he got into Anbu. Everyone looked at Bonin Hyuga. Although they didn't know why Hangwang said this, it sounded like Hangwang was going to break the news. 12 years ago, Lord Hangwang, who was temporarily in charge of Konoha, carried Musashi, who was still a baby, into Anbu. Hyuga Bonin calmly said, he was one of the very few people in Anbu who knew the origin of Akatsuki Musashi. Musashi's eyes had completely changed. He looked at Bonin Hyuga and then at Luhan. He clenched his fists. This is something he doesn't know at all. Who would have thought that the current leader of the root organization was actually carried into Anbu by Hangwang back then? He was only 12 years old. 12 years ago, Uchiha Madara's subordinate, White Zetsu, dumped you as a baby in the courtyard where I lived. Luhan walked towards Musashi slowly, step by step. At that time, you were just a few months old. Very young. At that time, I and Tsunade and Luo Ning had been unable to have children. Tsunade even proposed to adopt you, but I refused because you had some problems. In the end, I decided to place you in Anbu, and I almost became you the adoptive father, you know. Senju Tianzheng. Quote. Luhan had already walked to Musashi, and when he said the name, Senju Tianzheng, his hands were like lightning, and he took off Musashi's mask. Chapter 1014-Sen Luo Tianzheng. With a youthful face, Luhan could see some shadow of his father on Musashi's face. They grew up a lot alike. It's really so young. 12 years old. Senju. His last name is Senju. Is he a Senju ninja? It's incredible that the leader of the route is so young. His talent is terrifying. There was an incredible screeching sound all around. In Konoha, not counting Anbu, very few people knew Musashi's true identity and real age. Musashi was so powerful and ruthless that people couldn't guess at all. Only 12 years old, even if he is very thin. Even Kaharu Udatane looked surprised. Although she knew Musashi's age, she didn't know how Musashi got into Anbu. She thought it was an orphan found during Anbu's ninja mission, so she brought it back for adoption. Musashi's expression was a little dull. When Luhan took off his mask, he didn't hide, but he didn't hide at all. He was already stunned by Luhan's words, adoptive father. Almost become his adopted son. Senju Tianzheng. My name is Senju Tianzheng. Musashi muttered to himself, looking at Luhan's indifferent eyes, suddenly seemed to be frightened, and took a few steps back. His eyes became sharp, seemed a little nervous, and shouted, so what? Even if you send me into Anbu, what does it matter? You gave me the surname Senju. Or did Tsunade give it to me? Does it matter? You don't avoid it. My question, you. Shut up. I haven't finished yet. Luhan interrupted Musashi with a low drink. The breath suddenly became violent, and terrifying coercion rushed towards Musashi. Musashi's face suddenly tightened. I was just talking about how you got into Anbu. In fact, what I really want to say is, your relationship with Uchiha Madara. Luhan raised his voice a lot and said loudly, you should remember, I said before, in Sarutobi Hiruzen's experiment that cut off the heritage of the Senju clan, there was one survivor and one failed experiment. This test body is called Senluo. Luhan slowly moved and continued. Senluo underwent the experiment in Konoha for 16 years, and he failed, leaving a very serious sequelae. In short, this sequelae is it will drive him crazy, very aggressive, and it is worth mentioning that the Sharingan he transplants is extraordinary. It is Mangekyo Sharingan, from Uchiha Kagami who died in the First Ninja War. Danzo imprisoned him and locked him in the root organization station. Senluo has a strong strength, but because of the problem of frequent madness, he is rarely released. Danzo uses him as an ace, only super difficult ones. It is a secret mission that I will shoot him out. Danzo controlled Senluo with a spell, controlled Senluo's life and death, and ensured that Senluo would not betray. In the blink of an eye, after more than 30 years in Konoha, Senluo's condition became more and more serious. According to his own words, he would not survive the 35 years of Konoha. I've also said before that Danzo has sent people to assassinate me many times, and once again, it was Senra. That time, I was on a mission to eradicate missing nin in the land of water because I killed the village of Kurigakure in order to ensure my safe return to Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Danzo to send Senluo to meet me, but Danzo privately ordered that Senluo kill me. But Senluo didn't kill me. I was not Senluo's opponent at that time. He was really powerful, but he was forced to perform his mission. He always resented Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. It was them who made Senluo. I have become a ghost and a ghost. Senluo saw hope in me, the hope of killing Danzo. He felt that I had talent, and I had a grudge against Danzo, so he let me go and I made a deal that I would kill Danzo for him and for myself. Just like that, I became friends with Senluo, and I am also his only friend in this world. In the 34th year of Konoha, Senluo fell in love with a female ninja from a root organization. In 35 years, the female ninja gave birth to a son for Senluo, and then the female ninja was executed by Danzo. Then, Danzo used this child. In order to coerce, Senluo was forced to perform a lore mission. At that time, Senluo was about to die, and his condition deteriorated to ultimate. Quote. On the eve of Danzo's defection to Konoha, the last time he sent someone to kill me, it was Senluo, who really wanted to do something to me for the sake of the child, but I was finally persuaded that it was in the Valley of the End, and Hanzo was under the planning of Uchiha Madara. Knowing my whereabouts, came to assassinate, I joined forces with Senluo to fight Hanzo and more than 10 strong men from a Megakure village. Senluo was beheaded by Hanzo. That's why I hunted down Hanzo. But Hanzo never gave up and wanted to kill me. He contacted Cage 3 on the way to escape. I killed Cage 3, but Hanzo escaped after losing an arm. Later, Danzo betrayed Konoha. As I said before, Sarutobi Hiruzen was afraid that I would go back and kill him, so he let him go. I promised Senluo to find his son, so I went to find Danzo. In the country of the vortex, I found and killed Danzo, but I didn't find the child. Later, I learned that Senluo didn't die at all, but was secretly rescued by Uchiha Madara. Senluo's child was also taken away by Uchiha Madara first. Uchiha Madara used this child, and Senra's hatred for Konoha, to prompt Senra to launch a suicide attack on Konoha. That was the day Sarutobi Hiruzen disappeared. Senra led hundreds of dead men to raid Konoha, inflicting numerous casualties on Konoha. With tens of thousands of casualties, it was the most serious damage since the establishment of Konoha village, and that person is Senra. Quote. He was born in the Senju family, so his real name is Senju Senra. It was him who caused the disappearance of Sarutobi Hiruzen. He is an avenger. Luhan, who was pacing back and forth, finally stopped, paused, and suddenly turned to look at Musashi. And you, it's that child, Senju Senluo's son, Senju Tianjung. Chapter 1015_ for all purposes. As for Musashi's true identity, Luhan figured it out. Orochimaru told him something about Konoha. Orochimaru knew that Musashi was only 12 years old and grew up in Anbu. There is no doubt that among the people Luhan knows, only this one fits the time when Senju Tianjung entered Anbu. After all, Luhan sent him in. Musashi is Senra's son after all, and he will always inherit some of Senra's body. And as the son of the test body, he is abnormal, and it is not surprising that he can serve as the leader of the root organization at the age of 12. Musashi was already standing there, dumbfounded. He knows who Senju Senro is. Because it was he who inherited the roots, he knew the origin of Senju Senluo, and he knew that Senju Senluo was the ace of the root organization. When Senju Senluo attacked Konoha so sensationally, he naturally knew everything. He didn't expect that the pitiful and hateful freak to Konoha turned out to be his father. Uchiha Madara would not tell him such a thing. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not know the origin of Musashi at all. Sarutobi Hiruzen only discovered his talent when he was very young and cultivated it vigorously. Musashi will have today's character, which has a great relationship with Sarutobi Hiruzen's deliberate guidance. Were thousands of Konoha ninjas around, and many of them looked at Musashi wrongly. Senju Senra hurt Konoha too much back then, and Konoha's ninjas couldn't forget it. Kaharu Udatane looked at Musashi in astonishment, then at Luhan, scanning back and forth. She didn't know this kind of inside story. Not only him, none of the other Konoha executives knew about it. Luhan himself was in charge of handling this matter back then, sending Musashi into Anbu. Except Tsunade, only a few people knew about Anbu. No, you lied. This is a story you made up. Musashi suddenly became very excited, raised his finger and Luhan, impossible. You did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. You want to kick me out of Konoha, right? Ha ha ha, you have no evidence. You have no evidence. Musashi laughed nervously, as if seeing through everything. He was right, Luhan wanted to drive him out of Konoha. Musashi himself did not hurt Konoha. On the contrary, when he was under Sarutobi Hiruzen, he did a lot of things to protect Konoha. Is innocent. But the fact that Senluo did back then was too bad. The dead were not one or two, but thousands, and the injured were tens of thousands, and half of them were destroyed by Senluo's Mokuden wood style. Moreover, when Sarutobi Hiruzen disappeared back then, it was directly related to Senluo. In this case, once Konoha confirms Musashi's true identity, even if he will not do anything to him, at least, he can no longer be the leader of the root organization, take away all his current glory and power, and make him a normal Konoha ninja. Musashi will also be subject to a lot of strange eyes, and even be monitored. In this case, Musashi is impossible to stay in Konoha. Furthermore, if Konoha catches Musashi and finds out what the hell Musashi has done, then he will be dead. Putting it on other ninjas is just a fault, and putting it on Musashi may be labeled as untrustworthy. You're right, I just want you to get out of Konoha. Luhan calmly said, but what I said is true. Not only that, the object of your allegiance is actually Uchiha Madara right now. Right. It was Uchiha Madara who asked White Zetsu to send you back to Konoha. I know you have a problem, but you are Senra's son after all. I can't kill you, and I can't abandon you, so I can only arrange you into Anbu. I want to wait for you to grow up, and then observe and observe. Unfortunately, in that battle 10 years ago, although I won Uchiha Madara, I lost my life. I don't know what Uchiha Madara did to you, but, oh, how could Uchiha Madara let you go and send it back? Not for nothing. You, Musashi's eyes were a little confused, his nervous expression fluctuated, he wanted to scold and refute something, but he didn't immediately think, you, ha ha ha, you have no evidence, you still have no evidence. You are this framing. I'm just saying what I know, as for your so-called evidence. Luhan sneered, turned slightly, and glanced at the surrounding Konoha ninjas. They will check. You should believe in the power of Konoha, this is not I should be worried. Enough. Tianzheng. Luhan shouted in a low voice, and the terrifying power pressed against Musashi. I don't want to waste words with you. I will leave Konoha in 3 days. You, do your best don't mess around. As soon as Luhan's voice fell, he didn't give Musashi any chance to speak. With a flick of his body, he disappeared into place out of thin air. No trace. The ninjas present, even the strongest Namikaze Minato didn't know where Luhan went, and couldn't feel it. But everyone knows that Han Guang is watching everything in secret, and if anyone dares to harm Tsunade, it will definitely set off a catastrophe against Konoha. Near the Hokage building, in a tall tower, next to the top floor window, Luhan appeared out of thin air, glanced at the situation in front of the Hokage building, and put his hands together to hand seal, psychic. Bang! Meow! The furry little guy Shadowcat appeared on Luhan's shoulder with white smoke. Yuying, temporarily give up the task of monitoring Nohara Rin and start monitoring Musashi. If you find out that he has seen any special people or has done anything special, let me know immediately after you understand it. Luhan ordered. Meow. Shadowcat responded and disappeared out of thin air. Luhan looked out the window again, looking at the many figures in front of the Hokage building, and squinting slightly when he heard the cluttered voices. Uchiha Madara, will it come? This is what Luhan is thinking about now. Luhan first revealed that he can revive himself and others, and then revealed Musashi's identity, all pointing to one thing. Uchiha Madara. Musashi, will you go to Uchiha Madara for evidence? Chapter 1016 I promise you that. In front of the Hokage building. After Luhan disappeared out of thin air, Musashi had been standing there with a gloomy expression on his face. Everyone was looking at him, and he became the new focus. It is impossible for Konoha to ignore this matter. The leader of the Konoha root organization, you must know that the root belongs to Anbu but has independent power. If everything Han Guang said was true, it would be extremely dangerous for Musashi to continue to be the leader of the root organization. No, it won't be like this. Musashi muttered, shook his head, quickly picked up the mask and put it on his face, took a step back and disappeared. Call, 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 call. A number of root ninjas who were still alive around at the same time, hand seal, also disappeared. They are gone, no one is going to stop them. Namikaze Minato has this kind of power, but didn't do it. Because Musashi can't be convicted of crime. Everything was said by Luhan. Even if it was very credible, Konoha couldn't believe it immediately. What's even more embarrassing is that since Konoha is in the transition period of power and there is no Hokage, it is not a few words to dismiss Musashi. In the matter of words, there must be a general meeting. He's that guy's son. I think what Han Guang said is true. He was with Uchiha Madara. Could it be said that he, Lord Hokage, cooperated with Uchiha Madara? Musashi, as the leader of the root, will definitely participate in it. As for whether the object of his true allegiance is Uchiha Madara, but looking at Musashi's reaction, he doesn't seem to know his background. It doesn't seem like he is pretending. The discussion inside and outside the Hokage building has been frying, and the shock is constant. Their focus seems to be completely shifted. Han Guang killed Hokage, this is the biggest thing, but now they are more concerned about the situation of Musashi. Kaharu Udatane looked around, gestured to the guards nearby, and then approached Tsunade, whispered something, and walked side by side with Tsunade into the Hokage building, followed by Namikaze Minato, Orochimaru, Homura Mitokado and others. The faceless are also always near Tsunade. Under the hint of Bonin Hyuga, there were several Anbu ninjas who separated Lake Sarutobi Biwa intentionally or unintentionally, reducing the chance of Tsunade coming into contact with Lake Sarutobi Biwa. As an official ninja with the oldest and highest status in Anbu today, what Hyuga Bonin wants most now is not to change anything, but to hope that everything goes well and don't make trouble again. Matsuri worships Sarutobi Hiruzen. Tsunade's heart is still extremely complicated. Right and wrong. For Tsunade, it is not important anymore. She is her husband on the one hand, and her teacher on the other. If she has to care, it will be painful only herself. Hokage building, first floor lobby. Since the day Sarutobi Hiruzen died in battle, this place has been set up as a mourning hall. It is extremely huge, and it is not a problem to accommodate 1,000 people. However, at this time, there are not many people in the mourning hall. Afterwards, it became even more difficult for idlers to enter, and some Jonin wanted to come into Matsuri to worship Sarutobi Hiruzen, but they couldn't. The guards of Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado followed behind, as well as Anbu and the others, several high-ranking Konoha leaders, great clan chiefs, and more than 100 people in total, all followed into the mourning hall, watching Tsunade from behind. No matter what was on their minds at the moment, whether their emotions towards Tsunade were mixed or disgusting, they knew a thing. Look at it, if she wants Matsuri to worship, let her worship Matsuri, don't mess around. The cold light is staring in the dark. The mourning hall, a dark yuhi-colored coffin was placed in the middle of 2 rows of candles. Several ninjas from the Sarutobi family knelt by the side, dressed Sarutobi Hiruzen in sackcloth and filial piety, and thanked the visitors. Tsunade walked to the coffin, tilted his head and whispered to Kaharu Udatane, then looked at the coffin, dazed. Kaharu Udatane asked people to bring several sets of filial piety and distributed them to Tsunade, Orochimaru, Namikaze Minato and others. They put on robes and filial piety for Sarutobi Hiruzen in public. Tsunade and Orochimaru were apprentices, and Namikaze Minato was the grandson of the apprentice. Then, the 3 of them worshipped Sarutobi Hiruzen in turn. Coffin. Matsuri lay. The whole process didn't last long. Tsunade couldn't stand the look in the back of Sarutobi Lake Biwa. After completing Matsuri worship, he took off his filial attire and accompanied Kaharu Udatane to the Hokage building. Luhan was always watching Tsunade secretly, and at the same time he was also observing the important people in Konoha. If Luhan didn't explain before, the attitude of those people towards Tsunade would definitely not be that good, but now it's different. Luhan understood that they believed what he said. Even if some people don't want to believe on the surface, deep down they believe it. In this case, the affairs between Luhan and Sarutobi Hiruzen will be suppressed at the level of personal grievances and will not involve others, and Tsunade, although Luhan's wife, is also Sarutobi Hiruzen's direct disciple, the former Konoha Sannin, after all. There are going to be some changes. In the original book, she is Hokage of the 5th generation. Although she has been away from Konoha for many years, she can directly serve as Hokage to calm down the unrest after returning to Konoha. But now, because of me, Luhan secretly watched Tsunade and thought to himself. Suddenly he had some new ideas. One involves him, Tsunade, and even the idea of turning the world upside down. Afternoon. At Kaharu Udatene's house, Tsunade never went out again after returning with Kaharu Udatane. Luhan also appeared again and sat down to talk with Kaharu Udatane. The topic was mainly about Uchiha Madara and Musashi. This was the first thing Kaharu Udatane needed. Solved problem. In fact, Luhan couldn't come up with direct evidence to prove Musashi's allegiance to Uchiha Madara. Most of it was speculation. He said everything he could say. After Kaharu Udatane's inquiries, Luhan said some details, but most of them were useless. At the end of the sentence, Kaharu Udatane suddenly said casually, "Can you really not resurrect Lord Hokage?" Luhan froze for a moment, squinting at Kaharu Udatane. He didn't expect Kaharu Udatane to suddenly say this. If you can really resurrect Hiruzen." Kaharu Udatane looked at Luhan with serious eyes. "I can assure you that Hiruzen will retire, and you will be the 4th Hokage of Konoha." Chapter 1017 Uchiha Obito. Unlike the pleadings of others, Kaharu Udatane came up with a heavy stake. She thought very clearly that even if Sarutobi Hiruzen survived, because Luhan said those things, Sarutobi Hiruzen's prestige and Konoha ninja's opinion of him will be different. Kaharu Udatane does not think Sarutobi Hiruzen is still suitable for Hokage. In all aspects, Hengwang is better than Hokage. He is more suitable. Uchiha Madara's collaboration issue. The problem of losing the war. Sarutobi Hiruzen's last words. Kaharu Udatane believes that as long as Hengwang can revive Sarutobi Hiruzen, then he will be able to persuade Sarutobi Hiruzen to retire and help Hengwang rise to power. Hengwang's current problems were originally caused by killing Sarutobi Hiruzen. If Sarutobi Hiruzen is alive, most of the problems can be solved. The rest are just small issues. Example, on that day, Hengwang not only killed Sarutobi Hiruzen, but also killed nearly 200 Konoha ninjas, including elite Jonin and other great masters. However, those who first died in the hands of Hengwang were basically Sarutobi Hiruzen loyalists. There are not many of Sarutobi Hiruzen's die-hard loyalists. Although there are more people who do it, most of them are only injured. In fact, from another point of view, those people died in the hands of Hengwang, but they cleared the obstacles for Hengwang's superior. After all, Konoha still has tens of thousands of ninjas. The main battle legion is outside, and he has not come back. There was no main battle legion against Hengwang that day. He had no conflict with the legion and the legion leader. Other conflicts are really small conflicts. Luhan looked at Kaharu Udatane. Kaharu Udatane also looked at Luhan. Luhan frowned, but Kaharu Udatane was extremely serious. At this time, Orochimaru and Tsunade were not in the lobby, so they went to the door, because Kaharu Udatane said before that, after Jiraiya came back, Tsunade and Orochimaru were discussing about Jiraiya at the door. Jiraiya is the most loyal disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen. So once he comes back, once he knows that Hengwang is here, he is likely to be in big trouble. Tsunade doesn't want Jiraiya to be impulsive. In that case, he will die. Sorry. Luhan finally responded to Kaharu Udatane, shaking his head. Lord Kaharu, I can't revive him. I said that if I revive anyone, I have to pay a price, and this price is not worth it for Sarutobi Hiruzen. And you should get the feeling that I don't have a lot of ideas about being Hokage. If I want to be Hokage, I just need to gather evidence about what Sarutobi Hiruzen did, put what he did, and get out of Konoha, kill some people, the enemies of Konoha, and kill another group of people within Konoha, those who oppose me. Then I can be Hokage. No one can stop me. And I think, Lord Kaharu Udatane, you will not oppose me either. Quote. Kaharu Udatane was silent. Lu Han was right. He has enough conditions to reach the top of Hokage by might. It is true that Kaharu Udatane cannot oppose him, but will help him. She does not oppose it. One is because of Sarutobi Hiruzen's last words, and the other is because Han Guang has the ability to end this ninja war. As early as 10 years ago, during the Second Ninja World War, Han Guang had proved that he was not only a powerful ninja with outstanding talent, but also an excellent ruler. The Second Ninja War seems to have been ended by the return of Sarutobi Hiruzen. In fact, Kaharu Udatane knew that the greater credit was still on Han Guang, who was deceased at that time. You hate him that much? Kaharu Udatane asked. It's not a question of hate or hate. Lu Han shook his head and didn't say any more. What's your plan after that? Kaharu Udatane didn't insist any longer and changed the subject. She understood the grudge between Lu Han and Sarutobi Hiruzen, so she didn't hold grudges against anyone, and she understood that Han Guang respected her because of the time when they worked together before. For the love, she can't be forced to say something unpleasant. It is called shameless. I'm going to kill Uchiha Madara. He must die. It's in my hands. After that, I haven't thought about it in detail. The news of my resurrection has spread throughout the ninja world. There will always be some trouble. I have to think solution. ... At dusk, the afterglow of the setting sun fills Konoha. Still the home of Kaharu Udatane. Anbu has already dispatched additional staff to completely block the place. There are also a large number of Hyuga clan scouts patrolling and monitoring the vicinity to ensure that no outsiders are approaching. It is all arranged by Kaharu Udatane. She really doesn't want anyone to make trouble again. Don't get cold. This is the attitude that Konoha should have towards Han Guang at the moment. Kaharu Udatane is no longer at home at the moment. She left an hour ago. There are too many things for her to deal with. Today, because of the cold light, she has been delayed a lot, but she can't stay with her all the time. Lu Han and Tsunade have officially settled here in Kaharu Udatane. Orochimaru left half an hour ago and left the village of Konoha. There was news from outside that Jiraiya had returned, and he went to greet him. There were only Lu Han and Tsunade in the house. Tsunade was in the kitchen. The two hadn't even eaten lunch. Now, she was preparing dinner. In fact, she doesn't need to cook by herself. Kaharu Udatane rarely cooks by herself, and always has someone make it and deliver it, but Tsunade's mood has been difficult to calm down. She just wants to find something to do and give her attention. Matsuri has worshipped Sarutobi Hiruzen. Tsunade won't leave this yard again these days. Meow. On the square wooden table in the lobby, the shadow cat appeared out of thin air. Sitting at the table, Lu Han, who closed his eyes and thought about things, opened his eyes, tilted his head and asked, "How is it? What did you find?" Meow. Musashi met someone and said something about Uchiha Madara. Who is it? I don't know that person, and I haven't seen him in the portraits I've seen before. Shadow Cat said with a crooked head. Oh, what does it look like? Lu Han asked. That person is not very old, about the same as Musashi. He may be a little taller, but he is also very thin, but he is very ugly. Shadow Cat shook his head and recalled, he has a large scar on his face, and the left eye is Sharingan. Sharingan. Lu Han interrupted Shadow Cat, stunned for a moment, then his face changed suddenly, and suddenly stood up and said, "Where did you see it?" It's Uchiha Obito. Chapter 1018-Shy Boy. Uchiha Obito is actually in Konoha village. What exactly is Uchiha Madara going to do? Has he finished blackening Obito? Or ready to do it at Konoha. Thoughts flashed in Lu Han's mind. Since he had completely disrupted the plot of the original novel, and Sarutobi Hiruzen's death made everything different, he couldn't be sure at all, Uchiha Madara's purpose for letting Obito return to Konoha. It's in the forest behind Hokage Rock, there's a hut there. Shadow Cat replied. After Musashi left at noon, he gathered all the root ninjas, then sat in a tree in a daze, and went there after a long time. That hut, that man, was in that hut. Lu Han's face changed, thinking, and slowly sat back on the chair. And what did they say? Speaking about Uchiha Madara, Musashi seemed to want to know about Senju Senra from that person, but he didn't say it explicitly, and asked side by side, and that person didn't seem to know anything. He should be with Uchiha Madara. Time also it's not long, and he himself said that he rarely listens to Uchiha Madara's conversation with Ju. Quote. Yeah, good. Lu Han nodded and disappeared. In the kitchen, Tsunade was absent-mindedly washing the dishes, and he seemed to have no energy. Lu Han appeared behind Tsunade out of thin air, hugged Tsunade's shoulder, and kissed Tsunade's cheek sideways, then whispered, I'll go out for a while, I'll be back at night at the latest. Well, let's go. Tsunade nodded, without asking where Lu Han was going. Lu Han flashed back to the lobby again. Go, take me there. Meow. One person and one cat disappeared one after another out of thin air. ... The soft sunset light splashed in the endless forest, the breeze caressed the fragrance of flowers, the leaves rustled, the insects and birds sang, and it was peaceful. This is the back mountain of Konoha village. The serene and peaceful appearance on the surface hides the real danger. Generally, ninjas who are not familiar with the layout of the Konoha back mountain forest can only follow a fixed route. Of course, for Lu Han, with his strength, even if he is not clear what is the difference between the layout of the back mountain of Konoha now and 10 years ago, it can also be ignored. Meow. The shadow cat appeared on the tree branch dozens of meters high, jumping and leading the way. Lu Han appeared with it and followed closely behind. Not long after. Route station. Lu Han said with a heart, the shadow cat has brought him into the defense area of the route station. This is a place where even Anbu ninjas can't set foot freely. If Uchiha Obito is really placed here, it would be extremely safety. Currently there is no Hokage in Konoha. Musashi has the right to prevent anyone from setting foot here. The insight map showed that there were more than 10 Yuhi names a few kilometers ahead, all of whom were root ninjas. Be careful, avoid them. Lu Han said. Meow. Shadow Cat responded and disappeared again, followed by Lu Han. One person and one cat no longer appeared in the bright spot, but they were still moving forward. After a few minutes. In the canopy of the towering tree, Lu Han appeared out of thin air under the cover of dense leaves, and the Shadow Cat appeared on his shoulder. The Konoha mentioned by Shadow Cat is just 100 meters away. It is not very big. It looks like it is newly built. The window of Konoha is open, and you can vaguely see a figure shaking inside. Uchiha Obito, Lu Han thought, but didn't go over immediately. He's thinking about what to do with Uchiha Obito. At this time, Uchiha Obito should not have been blackened, and the insight map also shows that there is only one Yuhi name in the wooden house, the big Yuhi name Musashi, and the other one, the orange name. If Obito has become Yuhi's name, Lu Han doesn't need to think about it, just kill him. Anyway, the blackened him, like Uchiha Madara, is a lunatic who was deceived by Black Zetsu, and will have to be killed sooner or later. But now. In fact, for Lu Han, the most important thing now is to lure Uchiha Madara to Konoha village. Although Lu Han has already run out some bait, he still cannot guarantee that Uchiha Madara will come in person. Bait. Naturally, the more the better. There are root ninjas outside the wooden house. These guys are cold-blooded killing machines who only obey the root leader, so although Musashi may be kicked out of Konoha, they are still loyal to Musashi and do their jobs. I want to see the teacher, but I don't know how he is. You look like a ghost or a ghost, who do you want to meet? Stay here honestly, After Lord Hokage is buried, I will arrange a suitable identity for you and find a suitable opportunity to meet them. The voice of Obito talking to Musashi could be heard faintly. It can be heard that Musashi does not have the ability to control Obito. He is just using words to stimulate Obito, making him feel inferior and afraid to see people. When Lu Han heard this, his heart moved, and he disappeared. In the wooden house, there are no other furnishings, only a long log collapsed. Uchiha Obito was sitting on the edge of the wooden deck, holding his head in his hands and looking down at the ground, looking very painful. Musashi stood by the window, staring at Uchiha Obito. He had asked Uchiha Obito a lot of questions before, and he talked sideways, about Uchiha Madara, about Senju Senra. But Obito didn't say anything. Musashi can confirm that Obito didn't lie. He really doesn't know those things, because Musashi can read people's hearts. He can see the true reflection of Obito's heart when he says a certain sentence, and he is very good at distinguishing truth from falsehood. However, Musashi has a new idea. Now Uchiha Obito is in his hands. If what Han Guang said is true, Uchiha Madara really controlled Senju Senluo, then don't walk around, the food will be delivered to you when it gets dark, and I still have something to deal with. Musashi said hoarsely, his eyes fixed on Obito, and then he walked out. Call. Just when Musashi walked to the door, before his foot stepped out of the threshold, a ghostly figure appeared in front of him out of thin air, very close to him. Musashi was startled. He fully reacted at once, and took a few steps back in fright. Cold light, a terrifying enemy that made him unable to even raise the courage to take action. Lu Han glanced at Musashi, tilted his head to look at Uchiha Obito, who was diagonally behind, and said, I'll take you to see Namikaze Minato. Chapter 1019-Carry Away. A person suddenly appeared at the door, frightened Musashi back. Obito didn't see these, although he felt someone was coming, but he was indifferent. It didn't matter who he loved. He didn't panic until Lu Han said that. Raised his head. Lu Han looked at him. This was an extremely ugly boy. Half of his body had been repaired. It looked not only a different color from his normal skin color, but also twisted scars. He only had one eye left, a third one. Tomo Sharingan. Confused and painful teenager, Uchiha Obito. Obito is also watching Lu Han. Because Lu Han was wearing a mask, he couldn't tell who it was. Lu Han's aura was very obscure but thick, like a foggy abyss where ancient giant beasts were dormant. Who are you? Obito asked, looking calm and calm. Cold light, Lu Han replied. It's you. Obito's spirit was shocked. He naturally knew who Han Guang was. Konoha's legendary ninja, once the king of the times. Obito knew even more that Han Guang came back to life, killed Sarutobi Hiruzen, and seriously injured his teacher Namikaze Minato. Follow me, I'll take you to see Namikaze Minato. Lu Han said again. Obito felt a little confused and weird. He didn't understand why Han Guang took himself to see Namikaze Minato, and Han Guang dared to come to Konoha. Uchiha Obito knew nothing about what happened in front of the Hokage building at noon today. Don't. Uchiha Obito lowered his eyes, hugged his head and shook it vigorously. He didn't dare to see anyone. This kind of inferiority is not only related to his character, but also Uchiha Madara's long history instilled in him. Musashi froze there, not daring to move. He is terrified. In front of the Hokage building, if it was just a verbal confrontation, Lu Han would not kill him, but it is different here. Lu Han found Uchiha Obito who should have died. He only needs to hand over Uchiha Obito, then he is killed. Musashi, no one will say anything. Because of the existence of Obito, it is enough to prove the relationship between Musashi and Uchiha Madara. Outside the door, several root ninjas stood side by side, facing the door, their hands on the hilt of the sword, but they didn't move. First, they know Han Guang. Second, they were waiting for Musashi's order. Obito, you should know that Namikaze Minato misses you so much, and Hitaki Kakashi and Nohara Rin, your teacher, your partner. They were heartbroken over your death. Why are you hiding when you're still alive? At the same time as Lu Han spoke, he walked slowly towards Musashi, passing by Musashi, but he didn't even look at Musashi. Uchiha Obito didn't seem to know what to say, with an extremely painful expression on his face. You can't solve any problem by hesitating like this. After all, it's time to meet. But forget it. If you don't want to see me, I'll take you there. Lu Han was too lazy to talk nonsense with Obito, and as soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared from Obito's sight. Boom. As soon as the hand hit the back of Obito's head, Obito passed out before he could react. At this time, Uchiha Obito, although he has inherited the power of Uchiha Madara's yin-yang escape and the power of 6 paths, can't use it at all. He can't even open Mangekyo Sharingan. With Mokuden wood style alone, there is still a huge difference between him and Lu Han in terms of strength. Musashi turned to look at Lu Han, but remained silent. He already felt that he had stepped into the gate of hell with one foot. If Lu Han wanted to kill him, he didn't need any scruples, and he didn't have any escape. Go and tell Uchiha Madara, I'll take him away, and I'll wait for him in Konoha. Lu Han looked at Musashi, and then mentioned Obito, who was unconscious, and disappeared in place in a flash. Musashi suddenly turned his head and looked out the door. Sun sets, Yuhi-sha hangs in the sky, fresh Yuhi is like blood. The lush forest was full of life, but Musashi could not see any anger, nor did he see Lu Han, who disappeared without a trace with Uchiha Obito. In the forest, Lu Han watched Uchiha Obito run fast. Shadow. Lu Han suddenly called out. Meow. The furry little guy appeared on top of Uchiha Obito's head, wagging his tail. Monitor Musashi. If he leaves Konoha, follow him all the time. If he meets Black Zetsu or an extremely old guy, immediately channel me over there. If there is an emergency, you can come back and tell me. Lu Han ordered repeatedly. Meow. Shadow Cat responded and disappeared out of thin air. Obito was taken away by Lu Han. No matter who Lu Han gave him to Konoha, it would lead to Musashi's allegiance to Uchiha Madara being confirmed, because Obito knew about Musashi's relationship with Uchiha Madara, and he would not keep it a secret for Uchiha Madara. There is a high possibility that Musashi will escape from Konoha immediately. He will bring news to Uchiha Madara. He is the new bait thrown by Lu Han. Konoha village, which has become very noisy due to the noon incident, has returned to normal, and everything is going on in an orderly manner. What Han Guang said at noon has become the focus of discussions among ordinary Konoha ninjas. Talk still fills the streets of Konoha village. However, Konoha executives are more concerned about Musashi. They can't solve the cold light. But to solve Musashi, as long as the situation of Musashi is confirmed, Konoha executives will definitely take action. A dimly lit conference room on the 3rd floor of the Hokage building. The chandelier hangs above the conference table, illuminating the round dim yellow light, which can only cover the conference table. The 8 people attending the meeting sat around the conference table, outside the light, and darkness enveloped each of them. Let's do it first. Since Bailey confirmed that Musashi was indeed sent to Anbu by Han Guang, then the 8 achievements are true, and there is no need for Han Guang to tell lies. Homura Mitokado adjusted his glasses and said lightly, then glanced at Kaharu beside him. Utatane. But I am afraid that I will act too hastily and push Musashi in a hurry. He is the master with all the confidential information of Konoha. Kaharu Utatane said worriedly. Control him first. Hyuga Hiyashi interjected expressionlessly. Bang. Suddenly there was a loud bang, and the door to the conference room was kicked open. Lu Han carried Uchiha Obito into the conference room. Chapter 1020-Cold Light, get out of here. Into the meeting room of the Hokage building at will. This kind of thing does not happen once in Konoha for many years. The Anbu ninja guarding around the office is not a vegetarian. The senior Konoha in the meeting room did not expect such a thing to happen. This is the Konoha headquarters. It only happened when they encountered an attack, but when they saw that the person who came in was Luhan, they were all relieved and sat on their chairs without moving. If Hangwang hadn't killed Sarutobi Hiruzen, then he could not only enter the conference room at will, but may even sit in the middle position as the master. And now, in fact, he is not a break-in, because no one dares to stop him. Lord Hangwang. Kaharu Udatane watched Luhan carry himself to the conference table, and slowly stood up with his hands on the corner of the table. The expressions of the others were more or less unnatural. Sir Kaharu, sit down and I'll leave right away. Luhan nodded to Kaharu Udatane, and said that he had already walked to the conference table. With a shake of his shoulders, he threw the unconscious Uchiha Obito on the table. Everyone was startled. Because Uchiha Obito's face is a little scary, those scars, it looks like it's burned, and because Obito's eyes are closed, no one sees his Sharingan. This is... What do you mean? Everyone around the conference table made a low voice of doubt and looked at each other. They didn't recognize who it was, and even Namikaze Minato only thought that he and his dead disciple looked alike. There are so many people in the world who look alike, so naturally it's nothing. He knows about Uchiha Madara and Musashi, and also knows some secrets of Uchiha Madara. If you want to know, just ask him. Luhan said, glancing at Namikaze Minato, he will be emotionally unstable when he wakes up. If necessary, you can put Kakashi and Nohara Rin found them. Quote. Me. Namikaze Minato was stunned, because Luhan didn't say it to everyone, or to him on purpose. Yeah, he's your disciple, Uchiha Obito, Luhan said. Huh. Namikaze Minato's body shook, his expression sluggish, and then he stood up suddenly. The expressions of the others around the conference table also changed. Although Uchiha Obito was only a small person, during the Ninja World War, too many small people like him died, and Konoha executives would not pay attention at all. But Uchiha Obito is different. He is a genius, a Uchiha genius who can open 3 Tomo Sharingan at the age of 12. Second, he was a disciple of Namikaze Minato, so all the top Konoha people knew about him and knew he was dead. He didn't die at the time. It was Uchiha Madara who saved him and healed him. He was transplanted with Senjuhashirama's cells by Uchiha Madara. For details, wake him up and ask yourself. Luhan turned and walked out, his voice getting farther away. Boom. After Luhan left, the door of the office closed again. The office fell into darkness and silence again. Everyone seemed to have lost their minds, staring at Uchiha Obito who was thrown on the conference table, especially Namikaze Minato. Once again, I saw the innocent smile of the cheerful young man. The trouble to Namikaze Minato, or in other words, all the Konoha executives, Luhan is too lazy to waste time on Uchiha Obito, now Obito is just a bait for him. Perhaps, Obito will tell Konoha executives about the Eye of the Moon plan, which Uchiha Madara may have already told him. But it doesn't matter. Uchiha Madara will die, so will Black Zetsu. Perhaps in the near future, they will die, and the Eye of the Moon project will end. After leaving the Hokage building, Luhan returned directly to Kaharu Udatane's house, where Tsunade was still waiting. Hangwang. Cold light. Get out of here. Cold light. Cold light. Where are you? Don't hide your head and show your tail, I know you're here. Come out. Come out. In the courtyard, a sturdy middle-aged man with fluffy silver hair shouted wildly, and the whole person looked extremely manic. He stood in the middle of the courtyard, kept turning around, turned his head, and shouted in all directions, again and again. It's Jiraiya. He is back. Orochimaru stood expressionlessly under the tree in the courtyard, holding his shoulders without saying a word. Tsunade stood in front of the house clutching his waist, looking at Jiraiya with a black face. She had already persuaded her, said it, and said harsh words, but Jiraiya didn't listen to the persuasion at all. Simple. Hangwang, you give me. Stop calling. Tsunade made a sharp cry, interrupting Jiraiya's continuous shouting, and then said, I already said it. Han won't see you, he doesn't want to hurt you, I made it very clear about the teacher, that's them. It's a matter of two people, the two ended this grievance by a duel, what else do you want to do? Tsunade's attitude was extremely tough, but his body trembled. Her heart was restless. Because she is afraid. Fearing that Jiraiya will find Han Guang trouble, in that case, Tsunade is likely to be heartbroken again because of the loss of a close friend. Tsunade, you don't have to persuade me. Jiraiya's attitude was also extremely tough, but her eyes were both crazy and sad. Needless to say, I must see Han Guang today. Han Guang, come out for me, don't pretend to be dead, come out. Quote. Jiraiya started yelling at the surroundings again. Orochimaru was still standing not far away, still icy. Tsunade raised his hand to support his forehead, and shook his head, looking like he had a headache. Actually, she doesn't think Jiraiya is really dangerous, because Jiraiya is the kind of person who has everything written on his face and is easy to control, but Orochimaru, people can't figure it out, he may not say a word, it doesn't look good or bad, but it suddenly pops up and shows Kiba. Hangguang, get out of here. Jiraiya's shouting stopped abruptly, and the courtyard fell into an extremely eerie silence, full of horror. Tsunade felt something was wrong and looked up suddenly. Lu Han appeared. Standing opposite Jiraiya, a few meters apart, one of them was calm and indifferent, and the other was panting for breath. Boom! The terrifying aura rose violently in a bursting posture, but saw a glimpse of the shadow flying towards Jiraiya.